This and all episodes of the podcast have been brought to you by our generous patrons over at Patreon, the DayZ podcast. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can support the show each week, then please click the link in the description down below to find out more information about Patreon, the DayZ podcast. Thank you for your support. Just a big thank you to our current supporters of 87.8 Survivor FM, the DayZ podcast. They are our $10 supporter, Scale Speeder Gaming. Thank you so much, mate. And our two $25 supporters, very generous of them, Jake Snow and Keegan Holland. Thank you all so much for your support. It goes a long way to keeping the show going each week. And welcome to episode 43 of the DayZ podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by my usual co-host, Brim, but tonight the attention is all on the one, the only, the Loyal Patriot. LP, how are you, buddy?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Feeling good.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. I know Brim in particular is a massive fan. When I reminded him that it was you who was coming on, he was like, oh my God. Can we get... And then his mind was just racing. Well, we've got to try and see if we can get KD, Wolf and Potato and LP all together at once. Oh my God. And I went, mate, that'd just be too much for any fucking podcast.
The Bearded Bros. Yeah, I think that'd be way too much. And Data would just talk the whole time.
There is that.
Mate, you guys are part of the golden era of DayZ, in my opinion. It's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, because you guys were obviously running around with some of the huge names back in the day, Mr. Moon and Mr. Blackout and Jam Jar. But you, Potato, and Katie Wolf had a special relationship, didn't you?
I mean, you could call it special. I mean, there was a lot of middles touching, hugging, stuff like that.
Yeah. Someone's just typed something in chat, Dado story. Exclamation mark Dado story. Is that a command in your chat, is it?
Right, yeah. So I love Dado's stories, but he can talk, man. He can really sometimes I don't get a lot of words in, that's for sure.
Yeah, that could be a problem here as well, mate. Both Brim and I know how to talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles. Mate, one of the things that I've always wanted to ask you about is I follow you on Twitter. I love your Twitter feed, mate. You're one of the most wholesome and positive people. You just share nice stuff, you know. You're cooking, you're smoking meat in the backyard, or you're out hunting with your young fella and stuff like that. Yet you call your community the nerds. You are the least nerdy guy. The only nerdy thing you do is play video games, and that's not even nerdy these days. How did that come about?
That's a great question. I mean, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, you know, I started playing video games on the Atari.
Oh, yes.
Good old fashioned Pitfall. And I was kind of a hybrid kid. I could spend all day inside playing video games, and then the next day I'd be outside playing a football game all by myself, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. And so I was kind of a hybrid. So, you know, there's this negative connotation around nerds. I mean, we can all agree that nerds rule the world. Good or bad.
Oh,
yes. But if you were an Atari boy back then, being a nerd wasn't really, you know, other than that awesome movie Revenge of the Nerds, being a nerd wasn't the most positive thing back then.
Well, think of it as I'm ogre and I've been accepted into the nerds.
Oh, that's a good analogy, right? That's a good analogy.
But I'm bridging the gap between jocks and nerds. That's what I'm doing.
You live for someone like me, I look at you, mate, and I just think, oh my fucking God, you are living the life. You live on a farm?
Well, yeah, kind of a hybrid. It used to be used for dairy cows, beef cows, horses, all kinds of stuff. We're kind of in a transition of getting ours going too, yeah.
Yep, so you've got your own nice big property to live on, and it just looks amazing, mate. Yeah, you're out hunting all the time, and
well, I don't know about hunting. Looking, yeah, I don't know about hunting.
What do they say about fishing as well? There's a similar analogy to that when you're just throwing a line in the water with a bait on there and never getting anything. It's not fishing. It's just called, I can't remember what they call that.
Well, at that point, you're just catching beer. That's pretty much all you're doing.
Just as fun, although I would agree. You know,
I would. That's why fishing's great, man. You either drink a lot of beer, you catch a lot of fish, or both. Either way, it's a good day.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, man. It's I'm obviously very humbled. It's a great opportunity to live out in the country like this and just kind of be able to disconnect from social media and my job, which is on the internet.
Yep.
And it's definitely one of the things I'm thankful for the most is just the disconnect that I can do once I'm done being a nerd. You know what I mean?
It looks like you lead a pretty damn good life, mate. You know, you've got you seem to be a very, very happy person, and I think there's a lot of people who wish that they could be as at peace with everything as it appears you are. Although,
I mean, a good life is, it's subjective, and I think there are a lot of different variations of a good life, and I work really hard for, the things that I've been blessed with. I can't really take credit for it, but it's just, it's just real nice being able to kind of live both worlds, really, the craziness of the internet and the seclusion of the woods.
You do kind of literally have the best of both worlds, don't you? Really, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, living out in the middle of nowhere and super fast internet, I can't ask for more.
I was going to say your internet must be pretty impressive considering how remote your property is and what have you. It sort of seems like you would have to have pretty damn good internet to still be able to do all the things you do internet related.
Yeah, this cabin that I live in was the first thing around here for a while, but development went in a little bit down the road years ago, and the previous owner knew a guy who knew a guy, paid some money, and had a dedicated line run back here. So yeah, I got about 450 down, 25 up. It's
nice,
more than
Jesus
enough for sure.
I live in a bloody city, and I could only dream of that. That's Aussie internet.
The city, actually, yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm in the UK, and I'm in the city. I mean, I'm out in the suburbs a little bit, but I'm in a pretty well known major city in the UK, and I would say I get a good 350 down and about 30-ish up.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can get what you get where you are is pretty impressive. I know Boydie's definitely turning green with jealousy. That's not a green screen behind him.
50 down and about 15 to 20 up.
Hey man, that gets the job done though.
It does. Thankfully. So mate, you of like all of the people we talked about before are probably the one who has stayed true, and I don't mean true as like anything against those who haven't, because everyone I think has had a love-hate relationship with DayZ. But out of all of the people from back in that golden era of DayZ with the crew, you're the one who's probably stayed with DayZ the most.
Yeah, I mean, I've never said anything bad about DayZ before. It's I never complain about it ever. I never have any kind of negative things to say. It's just been a real good. No, I'm kidding. This game pisses me off sometimes.
Yeah.
There are times when I say DayZ is the best and worst game I've ever played in my life.
Yes.
And
that is a good way to put it.
It gives you experiences that other games just can't give you. And I think one of the reasons why I've been able to stick with it is because I didn't hold on to it so tightly.
Yep.
I allowed myself to take breaks from it. I allowed myself to incorporate other games into it. And I think, part of my nerd side of me, I have a crazy imagination. And I think an imagination in DayZ makes DayZ bloom, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's something I quite often...
that's a big part of why I've been able to play it so long. As a streamer, you'll get accusations of, you only play things for the views, or you only play things to make money, which neither one of those things are bad, by the way. But for me, it was, I watched my fellow streamers, my boys, and they hung on to it for so long that they got so bitter and pissed at it, and they just wanted nothing to do with it anymore. And they loved the memories that they made, but they were just ready to move on. Me, I've gone, 6-7 months without playing it before, and adding in other survival games and driving games, and it's just allowed me to stick with it a lot longer. I think I'm coming up in around 6,000 hours, which is nothing compared to some DayZ people, but
oh yeah,
it's definitely kept it fresh for me, that I've been able to stretch it out a lot longer.
The key you said there though is an imagination with DayZ. If you limit yourself to one play style, you're going to burn out pretty quick on DayZ. Let's face it, it's not the best PvP game. So if that's your forte,
that's putting it nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the reality of it. And if that's your forte with DayZ, then DayZ's not going to have a lot of longevity for you. The beauty of DayZ comes from having an imagination and getting into these weird and wacky situations that very few games, other than DayZ and Rust and things like that, can give you.
Oh, you mean like being tied up by a Swedish lady and have her put her naked crotch in your face and tell her to do all kinds of nasty things to you? Yeah, I know. I've had experiences like that, DayZ.
Jeez, I bet you complained when that happened.
No,
No,
in Call of Duty,
please
they
stop.
just say they want to bang my mom. This is completely different in DayZ.
And no one ever follows up with it either, do they? No one actually goes out and bangs anyone's mum either. It's quite a disappointing return ratio on the threats, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, it's all talk in CODland, but it's all action in DayZ.
Yeah, exactly. So what was it like being part of what I referred to as that golden era of DayZ? You know, playing with the guys who were the titans of the game back then, Jam Jar, Moon, and Mr. Blackout and that.
I mean, those guys to me are, you know, and I don't use this term lightly, legends of Twitch. You know, Twitch is about content creation. Twitch is about having fun with something that used to be taboo. You know, you used to be a loser if you just sat inside and played video games. You know, and Twitch brought TV and movies and gave it to the little people. And now we can go out and we can make content and we can have those kind of experiences right at home. And Moon and Jam and those guys, nobody did it better, in my opinion, when it came to open world games. And, you know, those guys went off to do, you know, bigger and better things. Jam still runs one hell of a stream. You know, Moon's got his real life stuff that he does. And, you know, KD and Daone, you know, those guys still stream and they still do great content. But back in the day, man, it was, it was crazy. It was pretty much all I thought about all day was I couldn't wait to hop on the PC and just play DayZ with the bearded bros, you know?
No, that's absolutely amazing, mate. Because I used to watch on in awe. Did you ever get to do a Survivor games back in the day?
I did. I actually, that was one of the first things I ever watched on Twitch was Sacral. And one of the very first ones, I think Psy Syndicate and his partner won that one. They were sitting in a bush the whole time, but which is no surprise. But Sacral had a Mosin and took out like 3 people in a matter of 30 seconds, heart pumping, you know, just it was insane. And I was hooked. I mean, that was it. I was hooked. And not to change subjects on you, but DayZ really missed an opportunity with that game mode. And when they half-assed brought that back, oh my, did they blow a real opportunity there to bring a fun game mode in DayZ? It's
a pet peeve of ours, mate. We bring it up quite often. I've even got a little meme I made up of The Godfather. Look what they did to my son. You know, Hicks and Soma looking at the Survivor games. That was, but they are still looking at it, and you know, we keep on urging them to just bring it back the way it used to be. They tried, they failed massively. Take the L and learn, and you know, they've only got to look at the success of things like the OTV server on Rust. There is interest in these massive multi streamer events, and they
absolutely,
Hicks and Soma and the crew proved back in the day with all of the Survivor games they did that people are interested in watching it, because a DayZ Battle Royale is different to a PUBG or something like that. It's a much more in-depth, you know, you said you've watched them in the past. It was a great event to watch, wasn't it? 3 to 4 hours, usually 4 hours with all the times that it would crash and that because of the state of DayZ back then.
I mean, really, it was a disaster, but the content of it was one of a kind. It was way ahead of its time. I mean, I remember being in a house and Kiwo came in, killed Dato, and ate him all during the Survivor games. I mean, you don't get that in other games, you know?
Exactly. And the trash talk was second to none. Yeah, some of the people, like
fantastic.
You've said, absolutely brilliant. I do remember...
it was trash talk within the moment. It wasn't just like empty trash talk, you know?
It was an amazing thing to watch, and I really do hope they bring it back. And you know, I think that would bring a lot of old names that people have forgotten would come back quite gladly to participate in another well-run Survivor games. And honestly, I have to say, I would love to see them done with the state of the game now and what it's capable of. It could be a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, and that door is still open. You know,
It is.
they still have the opportunity to make something of that, and you know that's not the core of DayZ. That game mode, the core of DayZ is the lost, the rustic, the raw, you know, lifestyle that you can live through DayZ. But man, it's still an amazing opportunity that they could still take advantage of.
So, what's your favorite playstyle?
I think one of the best traits you could have as a gamer when it comes to DayZ is being able to roll with the punches, being able to, you know, adjust to really any situation. And, you know, I think I'm just a big idiot, just winging it and just saying weird things and adjusting to the people that I interact with. But in a way, that's a good thing to have with DayZ. You never know what DayZ is going to throw at you.
No.
And if you have the ability to adjust to that, sometimes you can create the most unique and hilarious situations or insane PvP that other games just can't get you. So I guess it's, you know, I'm not a KOSer. I would rather get shot in the face, giving someone the opportunity to be interesting than just running around playing Call of Duty, you know? I mean,
And
it
that's the
obviously gets
secret
me
of
shot in the
longevity
face
for
a lot.
DayZ.
I'm not going to lie, I get shot in the face a lot. But it puts me in situations to where then I can roll with whoever I meet up with and kind of turn that into something that's really fun for people to watch, or at least I hope I can.
What does playing as Mauve mean, or Mauve?
Mauve, so back in the day when DayZ was, you know, really at its height, I couldn't play on a server without somebody saying, "Hey, it's LP." So I would have to do something to my voice. And so I just started doing different characters. Mauve is, if you've ever seen Office Space, Mauve is Milton with the red stapler, you know?
Yep.
It kind of sounds like Cleveland from Family Guy. It wasn't really my intention, but Mauve is, he's a quiet soul who, you know, I'm not an RPer. I'm just dinking around, you know what I mean? But he's a quiet soul who, you wrong him and he'll peel the skin right off your body. You know what I mean? Like you could push him, but if you push him too hard, flips. You know. Otherwise, we have the Lloyd who forgets everybody's names all the time and pisses people off because he keeps calling them the wrong thing. He wears jorts everywhere. You know, he's somebody you underestimate constantly, but constantly comes out ahead. You know, I've had different characters throughout the year throughout my DayZ life that I never intended to have. It was literally just me trying to disguise my voice so people would stop stream sniping me. But it turned out to fun little different play styles, you know.
And have you been getting onto the day one servers lately? They seem to be all the rage at the moment.
It's a really, really good way to get shot in the face every time you see someone. They run really well. You know, I think I'm a big fan of Smoke. And you know, whoever he's got running those servers, and I love how Smoke stays true to the hardcore lifestyle. And so those servers are, I mean, they're DayZ intended. That's how you play DayZ, you know. But it definitely has a lot of hostile players on those servers. That is for sure.
I like to think as a mix of generally three. There's the people who are, you know, the content creators looking for good content. Then there's the people looking to claim fame by saying, I killed Smoke, or I killed Shroud, or I killed so-and-so. And then there's the thirsty boys and girls who are just trying to bump into someone famous to try to bump their own career up. But it definitely makes for a very interesting dynamic, and it's actually very good to see. And like you said, I don't think they would have been successful if anyone else had done them. But Smoke is one of the, like you said, you know, staying true to the ethos of DayZ. The guy is part cyborg. He could easily just be running around killing everything that moves, but he plays DayZ in one of the best ways I've seen any content creator play it.
I'm pretty sure he also has zero emotions ever.
Yes. You do get a chuckle out of him every now and then.
Oh man, you know, me and Smoke, we play together. I'll have him laughing. Yeah, I'll promise you.
But he does.
I think,
sorry.
The day one servers, you know, it's good for me as an American, as someone who plays, not even just an American, but just anybody who's in the United States, that I have everything going against me when it comes to DayZ. I mean, DayZ is huge in Europe and ain't that big in the US. It's huge over in, even further Western or Eastern countries. And it means there's a lot of servers over in Europe, and a lot of the US servers are empty. So it a lot of things go against me when I try and hop on DayZ, even just trying to find a server in the morning, because the US is asleep and the US is stuck on Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So it's the day one servers are really nice, and I have those servers to fall back on where my ping's not 200 the entire time.
Mm-hmm. And they're just so popular. Like, there's people from Australia playing them, even with the 200 to 300 ping. Every man and his dog wants to get on the day one servers. Have you heard of the creator server that's being started?
I have not. What's that about?
It's basically Erno, if you've heard of him, and Inclement Dab. Inclement Dab is basically the Rain Man of DayZ modding, is probably the best way to describe him. Hey, Brim?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah,
he is just a freak of nature when it comes to coding.
Freak's a good way to put it.
They are creating a basically like an OTB style server, which is just going to be full of content creators, set on the Molsk. And Inclement Dab is working on some special stuff that'll be unique to the creator server, to try to get that sort of same dynamic happening. I have a few fears. We've all probably heard about the dramas that have been happening on the OTB server, but I think in essence that the concept is very good, and I just signed up to it myself recently. Because I really want it to succeed, because as we're seeing with the Rust server, it's bringing massive numbers to Rust, which is a game almost as old as DayZ, and I think it topped the charts for downloads again.
Yeah, that last time I played Rust was a few years ago. I spawned in, balls hanging, wiener swinging, and started wandering around, had more wiener swinging at me, and then they beat me to death. And I did that about 3 more times, and then I never played it again.
It's pretty much my experience with it as well. The first time I ever downloaded it, I got it on a Steam sale, so it was cheap as hell. I picked up thinking, fuck it, I'll give it a go. I'm probably never going to stop playing DayZ, so I'll probably never put any hours in. And I ended up uninstalling it with 45 minutes worth of playtime. Because I was just literally, the second I spawned, I try and speak. It was like my original, like your first couple of hours in DayZ. You spawn somewhere, you run up to some random, fresh-looking person, try and have a conversation, and they just beat your face in with a rock. I was like, do you know what? I've done that with DayZ. I don't need that with another game.
Been there, done that.
Pretty much, yeah. T-shirts in the fucking bin.
So I called my dues with DayZ. I don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah,
exactly, I called Rust the 4chan of survival games. It's just, absolutely insane. I don't watch a lot of it. Rust is Lord of the Flies if they gave the kid scale speed, as saying in chat. That's probably a good analogy.
Yeah. I just checked. I'm at 23 minutes.
23 minutes of Rust.
So, I mean, obviously not a fair shake. And there has been some in chat trying to get me to hop on those servers that they've come out with. And somebody said they've got some connections to, get me on there so I can experience it. And I might, but boy, that was a weird taste in my mouth to start. It was.
Have you played any other games like Scum?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of time on Scum. Speaking of wiener swinging, we did. That is a game that has absolutely no identity, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that game does not know what it wants to be. They may say what they want to be. They may say they want to be a hardcore survival game, but their updates and their content say otherwise. I still have hope for Scum. I still think Scum can be a fantastic game, but as of right now, at very least, their PR has been questionable. Just game needed a major update. Let's come out with some new wiener socks. I understand the guy working on wiener socks is not the guy working on performance. I know how this gig works, but man, they make, their content just says we don't know what we want to be yet. But I've got some high hopes for Scum. They put out some good updates over the last year.
To be fair, you had me at wiener socks, so I might have to re-download it.
There's elephants. There's, ones that look like those Chinese finger traps. I mean, you can have whatever you want on that game. I mean, I built a sled out of, cut down a tree, got some boards, built a sled, worked off all my clothes, and went sledding down a mountain. I mean, it's just, it's a weird game, I got to tell you, but there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah,
I've been thinking of
those big
playing it
robots.
again.
What's that?
What was that, Brim?
I'd say those giant robot mechs or whatever they're called, those are just what finished it off for me. I think I've got less playtime in that than I ever did originally in Rust. Like just running around and then just suddenly just getting mown down by a fucking big mechanical robot that can shoot you behind a wall 4 miles away just isn't my ideal of fun at all.
I think the mechs pushed a lot of DayZ people away almost immediately.
Yeah. I think the problem with the mechs was they were so powerful, and when you're a fresh spawn and you've got, a couple of bits of food, some bandages, some basic stuff to keep you going, you're not going to be able to deal with that. You're not going to, the first place you want to run to as a fresh spawn in any survival game, in theory, is going to be somewhere where there's going to be loads of food and loads of weapons to defend yourself with. If you know for a fact that you're playing a game or playing on a server that's, not necessarily friendly, it's not a PvE specific focused server, you're pretty buggered. So for me, just running to an airfield and getting destroyed by 2 mechs when I'm in around the wall the other side of it, and that's not how I roll, so to speak, personally.
Right, and that's kind of the identity thing, I think that, man, they have the foundation to be an incredible survival game with solid PvP. They've added in a lot of great animations to their gunplay. Their gunplay's been improved, the audio's been improved. They're making really good changes to the game, and I hope it keeps going that way. I've made it known their stamina system, where you use your scroll wheel and you run out of breath, and your best way to get your breath back is to lay down in the grass. And if you just want to jog, you'll never get your stamina back.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a nut kicker to me. In DayZ, you get your stamina back when you're jogging. You jog everywhere. You're good. It's a big map. You want to be able to move a little bit. The having to run and stop and walk or lay down, that's a big killer for me. I'm a broken record to a lot of people with that one, but I think if they can figure out a lot of little details and figure out what they want the mechs to be. Do they just want them as these ultra powerful robots that protect their military areas? Hey, if that's the way they want it, that's cool. I would just like to see something a little bit more creative. It just doesn't seem very creative having a giant robot that'll just absolutely blitz you if he sees you,
Yeah. Yeah, and even like I've said it before on the show, but one of my worst memories of the game is I bought one of the collector editions of it, and you get this thing where your character will randomly stop and shit, and he drops an item in his shit, be it an apple or a gun or something like that. And I was running away from one of the airfields.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my character just randomly stopped and started shitting right in front of a mech, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, that means you ate. That probably means you ate something bad, or you ate too much of one thing.
Yeah,
and that's usually what makes you just poop involuntarily, just balls hanging all over the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've had it happen in a firefight. Yeah, it's a very interesting experience. I've had it happen with a mech shooting at me too.
What about Escape from Tarkov? Do you play that as well?
Escape from Tarkov is gun porn, which I'm a big fan of. So Tarkov, when it first came out, I played a lot of it, but it looked like I had taken my monitor and put it into like a fish tank. It was so blurry and just did not look very good, and the audio was really off-putting, and so I just kind of stopped playing it. But they've made a lot of improvements. That's a fantastic looking game. I've been playing it a lot. It's, I think, my second most played game in 2020 was Tarkov.
Mm-hmm. It's a game that people keep telling me I need to get into, but it was on sale recently for like 25% off as well. But looking at the different price, I signed up to their website for the account and everything, but I just never got around to actually buying the game, because once you add the taxes in and all of that, the extra fees that they add and stuff, that 25% off means fuck all. So it's it was a little bit sort of we'll see. It's not something I'm gonna rush into buying anytime soon. But
Yeah.
it certainly seems like it's like you say, it's come on leaps and bounds. One of my closest friends plays it and streams it regularly, so I quite often sit and watch him play it and enjoy myself. But I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would fare too well in that game.
So Tarkov is less survival, more PvP, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've added in a lot more open world loot, which one of the first times I played Tarkov, I was like, I just want to walk around and find stuff. Why is that such a big deal? And they're finally doing that. You can actually just walk around and find stuff and loot. There's things to loot. You can fill up your inventory with things. Food and drink are becoming more important, even within the raid, that you have to be able to eat and drink while you're there. And the medical side of things, is getting so much better. What I tell my chat all the time is I need the open world, kind of your open world feel of DayZ, the survival of DayZ, to have a baby with the gunplay and the gun porn of Tarkov.
Mm-hmm.
Give me DayZ gameplay with Tarkov gunplay, and I don't think I'd ever play another game.
Yeah. To be fair, anytime I've looked at any sort of Tarkov related stuff, especially when my friend's streaming and he's showing, his hideout, his stash with all his guns and stuff, there's a little part of me that goes, just let me fix your inventory, because it's such a fucking mess. Like that proper, like, yeah, like it gets me. I can't look at his inventory anymore anytime he's streaming, because I'll just get angry. But yeah, that, like you say, the gunplay in it, and all the different, everything's true to life. They've obviously, I'm assuming, paid a reasonably decent amount of money to get the rights to use the correct names and everything for all these weapons. So it shows they've put in a damn sight much better effort into their game than a lot of the other games out there have. So I'll give them a lot of credit for that.
What would you like to see them improve gunplay wise in DayZ, LP?
Change everything.
And the zombies.
The infected are annoying, not a threat. You know what I mean? The only time you ever die to an infected is if you get stuck in a corner, or you think you close them in, but really you closed yourself in because you pop back through the door and then they just beat you to death and you can't move. The infected definitely need a lot of improvements, but the gunplay, what makes it more difficult is needing parade rest. That's what makes DayZ so much more difficult than other games. Other games just have their gun up all the time. But you can't have that in DayZ. So you need that extra button to bring your gun up from a rest position, because the rest position is what allows you to let everybody else know that you're not a threat, or at least you're not a threat in that moment. So that's what makes everything so much more difficult. In every other game, it's click once and you're aiming and you're ready to go. In DayZ, you have to hold it to hip fire. Then you have to right click to bring it up into the ADS. Sometimes it doesn't even do it. There's actually a bug right now that I've been trying to tell my chat, and a lot of them didn't believe me. There's a bug where you right click and it doesn't ADS. You right click again, it kind of flinches and doesn't ADS. And then you right click again, and then it snap ADSs. There's still bugs within this new player controller. But they need to get rid of the little hitch, I guess, that they threw in there to try and fix ghost bullets. But that little hitch when you right click and it takes like a half a second to actually bring your gun up, because you go to kind of the hip.
But are you talking about first. Features? We call them features. We call them features here. We don't mention the B word.
What B word?
The one used to refer to a little insect. We don't use that word here. They're features. They're features, LP.
Oh, right. No, it's a damn bug, guys. It's a horrible feature. So I think what every gamer wants is they want their character to do what they're told. Yeah. And I think that doesn't happen a lot in DayZ.
Doesn't seem to happen a lot in any fucking game I play at the moment.
Boy, but it does, especially when you're like us and we're a lot of early access games. That's a real nut kicker too.
Yeah.
But that's the plainest way I could put it. I want my character to do what I tell it to, when I tell it to do it.
Well, they have said this year the focus is going to be on spit and polish of the game, mate. So fingers crossed. We see some big improvements to things like that, and I know the other big one that a lot of people want is vehicles that work properly.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I got it. One of the first times I got in truck. Coincidentally, I was with KD and Daone, and we were driving just north of Cherno, and I wanted to take a left, but I took it a little wide. I don't know if I touched one of those little concrete nubs that are on the side of the road.
Yep.
Next thing I know, I'm in heaven. I don't
Yeah.
even know how I got there. And Daone says, just get out. You'll be fine. And I got out and immediately was dead. And that was one of my first experiences with the vehicles. And I'll be honest, it hasn't gotten that much better since then. But I think working vehicles would be huge. I think just a rework of player controls would be huge. And I don't say this because, you know, it's my main game where I pull the most viewership, but DayZ is nowhere near done.
No.
I used to think that DayZ would have been done by now. But the new player controller, the new rendering system, the performance of the game has completely, and the modding community, let's not forget the modding community, has really pumped so much life back into this game. And Bohemia has to know that. And they have to know if they want it to be, this could be a 10-year post-release game like a CSGO, because it still dominates this category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the attention aside that Rust is getting right now from all the big name people playing it, DayZ is still king of the survival genre.
100%. A hardcore survival at the very least.
Yeah. Heck yeah, Cannabis Plus and Drugs Plus in the chat. Yeah, I've never really gone for the drug service.
Oh, it can be so much fun, to be fair. If you can get a good team together and you get on a good server, like a good modded server where there's clans and stuff, some of the clan battles you can have over drugs, it can be quite a lot of fun. It adds, I think, just the same as any mod, those sort of drug related mods do add a different element to the game. You know, they're a different play style. You know, you're used to your sort of survival and your PvP, but then when you add in the fact that you've basically got an item on you that is, or in your base, for example, that is so, you know, it's so valuable. Like a lot of servers will have traders where, you know, one little bag of weed that, you know, should in theory cost $10 in real life is actually worth 10,000 rubles in game. You know, it's suddenly things become very, very different, and it can be very interesting if done the correct way.
Well, Cooley in chat is saying he's working on Addiction LP.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, Cooley's fun. We talk about cannabis. I was on the mouse. Gonna do was smoking a thermometer.
Yeah, the crack pipe.
Oh, yeah. He asked me if I wanted someone. I couldn't tell if he was offering me drugs or he wanted to take my temperature, but either way, I was saying no.
Well, I suppose it depends which end he's trying to take the temperature, in theory.
I don't think it does matter. Either one is still a no.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've never really gone for the drug service, but I do get what people are saying in chat. It does add a lot of variance to what you do on a server in DayZ, and anything that adds life to the game for people, I'm all for it. You know, even if it's not something that I really get into. That said, I have played servers that have it, and I've done it before, but I prefer more the hardcore survival style ones. But whatever, if it adds life to the game for you, go ahead and fucking do it.
I'm a vanilla guy myself, but I will say one thing that I think DayZ really needs to jump on is dynamic events.
Yes.
I think the storm and the mouse, you know, I've been in the middle of gunfights and I had to go take cover because I knew my ass was about to pass out. You know, I needed to take cover from this storm. And some people see it as an annoyance, but I think it adds another dynamic to the game that DayZ needs, because there's only so much looting you can do. There's only so much gearing up you can do. And if you add in those dynamic events where, you know, and I like the storm, I like the build up, I like knowing that something's going to be coming and you need to prepare for it, whether it be a massive storm like the mouse has, or the electrical storm, or a huge horde rolling through certain cities on the map or certain areas, or Miscreated had that massive mutant that was the size of a truck. You know, having a couple of those spawn around the map for a half hour or something like that. More dynamic events to give players the ability to react and adjust their play style and their gameplay and really just continue their immersiveness. I think that would be, Bohemia really needs to jump on that.
Yeah. There's been so many ideas, and there's actually some good mods. There's a good mod called Survivor Missions LP. Have a look for a server that has that on it. At the moment, there's a whole pile of vanilla missions. Everything from having to drive a car and take drugs across the map to going and setting some pigs free, but having to kill a couple of them and taking the meat to another location across the map. And
Oh, you
I
got
think
my
they're
attention
brilliant.
with that one. I love a good pork butt, man.
I know you do. I'm very envious of the smoking that you always post on Twitter.
I got a corned beef brisket on the smoker right now. It's going to be delicious.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
You know, I think the missions, and the dynamic events, I think is really, we don't want AI walking around the map. We don't want the missions to be too intrusive or to disrupt the gameplay too much. Scum has their big battles where an orb appears and you just have a giant team deathmatch in the middle of a survival game. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't know if I want to see things like that, but just to give individual or a couple of players who are in a group together something to do, to work towards, I think.
And where it's about choice. You can choose whether you want to get involved or not.
Right.
Choose how you get involved. Do you do the mission or do you wait at the end to try to ambush those who've done it? It adds variety, a bit of spice to the game.
Yeah, and I think that can be done in vanilla. I don't think vanilla always has to be just wake up, loot, run, die, wake up, loot, run, die. I think that they can strategically add this stuff into vanilla to still maintain the hardcore DayZ experience, but just give more stuff to do.
Something more than just, 3 random chopper crashes around the map and a few police car spawns and stuff like that. There's so much opportunity.
Why not have a chopper flying in?
Yes.
That is obviously having engine problems and goes down somewhere.
Yep.
And then you go seek it out instead of them just dynamically spawning around the map. That just adds more immersion,
There's probably Inclement Dab's probably in chat right now going, I wonder if I can make that happen. And the next thing within a day or now, we'll have a mod for it.
Weren't we supposed to have a train at some point?
Don't get me started on Arkansas's hype train. Oh, mate, I fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
Tracks?
Yeah. And then the cheeky bugger goes and posted a thing on Twitter showing train tracks on Namolsk, and I was like, oh, you cheeky bugger.
Oh, man, I got my hopes up for that. I wanted to get on the handrail that you pump with your hands. I wanted flying around the map on that thing.
Yes. Bloody Arkansas, man. Oh, I was so hyped for that when I saw it. And it's been, 2 years?
I didn't know that fell apart.
I don't think it has fallen apart. It's just he's gone very quiet about it. So I've been meaning to remember to hit him up. I might do that after I finish the podcast today and find out from him exactly what is going on with the hype train. Because that little video that he released was just, oh my God, that is, yes, we need that for DayZ. I could just imagine a mobile base roving around the map. And
one of the most unique things about DayZ is how dead it feels. It feels post-apocalyptic. It feels like there's just no life to be had. That's why a dynamic event where there is life, I think, could be so important. Even as far as having a generator in the middle of a city that if you add fuel to could add some lights for a couple hours. Just to one of the things I love about Namolsk is how much they have the render distance turned up on the fires.
Yeah.
You come up over a hill and you see someone way off in the distance who's got a fire going. It's life. You see life, and that's special in a game that's just filled with death and gloom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're the things I like on a server to let me know that the server's alive. Not a side chat with people trash talking each other.
No.
I like visual indicators of stuff happening in the game or audible ones, gunshots you hear and things like that. Because for me, it's the loneliness and the despair of being alone, and then the blood rush that comes from hearing a shot or seeing a light in the distance, and being disappointed when it's just an infected with a fucking headlamp on. But yeah.
Right. And it's finding that balance of still making it feel doom and gloom and lonely, but giving you those small glimpses of life, coming up over a hill and see, hey man, somebody's got the generator going.
Yep.
That is exciting, you know?
Because it's evidence of life. Someone's been here.
Yeah. And I think that could be a real, between, those little just evidences of life and dynamic events and survivor games, I think DayZ could still have a really long life.
Yeah. I mean, there's someone just said we need birds in this life, but in this game, but it just made me think of when you see a deer or a boar running full sprint and knowing I didn't aggro that. That's the
Right.
sort of things that I love to see in the game.
I would love to see those work a lot better too.
Yeah.
The animal AI is atrocious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see boars attack people is one thing I would love to see, Brim.
Yeah. I mean, you get that in Rust, which I've noticed over the last couple of days to my own dismay. I think I went into that with a bit of a DayZ mindset and saw a wild boar and went, that's fine. And then it tried to eat me. And I was like, that maybe isn't fine. But one of the things I quite enjoy with DayZ when it comes to the animals, whilst they do require a little bit of a tweaking here or there, they've got some features that could do with ironing out, is I do like how sometimes you can just be running around, you come over the crest of a hill, big open field in front of you, and you just see one goat running across the field followed by like 3 zombies chasing behind it. That is just, for some reason, even all these years later, reason, I still do. I will literally on stream stop and physically giggle like a schoolgirl, and then just carry on my day like nothing happened.
You know what they need to do? They need to allow that goat to donkey kick that infected right in the face. That would be fantastic.
Yes,
save me the fucking hassle.
No, someone in chat is saying that you love getting attacked by wolves.
I'm a wolf magnet. And they don't have any audible sounds until they're in your ass. So
yes, that's one of the things that bugs me.
They're chewing on you, and I could get done with one group, and I run 20 feet, and I got another one on me. But I love it. It's just another one of those things that it makes you change. It makes you adjust. That's what DayZ needs more of.
Even the ninja bears, the ones that don't make a sound until they aggro on you, and you're like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I'd like to change what I said earlier. I don't need DayZ to have a baby with Tarkov. I need DayZ, Tarkov, and Call the Wild to have a gangbang. That's what I need them to do.
There's an avenue for someone. There's an avenue for someone. Create a better hunting mod for DayZ.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, Scum. That's one thing Scum's got on DayZ is it's got tracking. It's got blood splatter. It's it's got vital hits. That is definitely something that I would love to see added to DayZ.
And its crafting system is much superior to DayZ's as well.
Yeah, yep.
I love the crafting.
That's all potential for DayZ. Those don't have to be weaknesses. That's all.
Yeah.
It just shows how incomplete DayZ still is.
Yep.
Which some might see as a negative, I see as a positive. That just shows that there's so much more room for growth in that game.
Yeah.
So have you had much luck getting any of the other guys to come and play DayZ again with you?
I got, I want them to play whatever they enjoy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I play a lot of Tarkov with Daone. KD, he has full-time work away from streaming, so he's, he streams once in a while part-time. He's more open to DayZ. I think KD would love the hardcore of Namalsk.
Yep.
Namalsk makes me, when I first started playing, it made me feel like I did when I was a new DayZ player.
Yes.
I was afraid of DayZ again. I was afraid of the elements. The unknown was back. Daone, I've said this to Daone before. He held on too long, and it really made him resent the game.
Yep.
But who knows? Daone's he still has a soft spot for DayZ for sure. So I'm sure. I've always kind of been a lone wolf guy since then. I don't really stream with other people a lot, but I've been trying to make myself more available to doing things like that, whether it's with Tarkov or DayZ or any other games I play. And Daone's definitely on the list of people that I would love to survive Namalsk with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I first kind of really got into DayZ. A friend of mine had told me that Twitch was a thing, so I checked it out. And then I then in turn told him DayZ was a thing because I just randomly discovered it. And I just had randomly discovered you, KD, and Dado one day. I think I discovered Dado first, and then sort of you guys fell into the picture, as a result of that. And it got to a point where me and my friend had a sort of a friendly rivalry because I was more of a Dado fan, but he was more of an LP fan. So we used to sort of butt heads a little bit at times.
I like him better.
Take the piss. Yeah, well, yeah. If you met him, you wouldn't, but yeah. But yeah, no, it was one of those things where it kind of brought us, you three running a game like DayZ. It brought me and him as friends closer together as well. So we actually had this whole new thing to talk about. We had Twitch, we had DayZ, and we had you three guys. So we had it's essentially 3 whole brand new things to discover and talk about together. Which when you've got someone who is a friend that you genuinely consider more family than friend, that you call brother unironically, that really adds something to it.
Yeah, that's and that's really cool to hear too. We got into a lot of adventures. A lot of it was KD telling us that he saw someone by a tree, and we said, "What tree?" And he says, "Don't worry, I got him." And we said, "What, you killed him?" And he said, "No, but I'm gonna." It's like, dude, your call out sucked. Or Dado rushed into a building before we can even figure out what the heck is going on, or me, talking about rubbing butts in the middle of a gunfight. Whatever the case may be, we definitely got into some interesting situations back in the day.
Yeah, all that just Dado getting sniped from douche rocks every time he was trying to run down the coast.
Nothing like some good old fashioned Dado rage.
Oh, the amount of times I would tune into his stream just at the right moment, just as he's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, someone up on douche rocks again." Yeah, KD, for fuck's sake, where were you? He's just constantly shouting at KD to be behind him. He never seemed to shout at you. It was always KD that he would shout at.
Oh, that has changed. That has definitely changed. Now it's me. I think I lost my beating meal with KD, so now Dado just takes it out on me. That's for sure. There's nothing like some good old fashioned Dado rage.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with it.
That has stood the test of time really well.
There are some classic people when it comes to raging, and Dado was definitely up there with it. But you mentioned KD and his call outs and things like that. That's one of the things I loved. You three had such a good dynamic. You all kind of played well off of each other. Just made this very interesting trio to watch.
What's cool is we're just strangers.
Yep.
We were strangers that became friends, and if you would have told me, 6-7 years ago that, after I lost my previous job, that my next job was going to be making friends on the internet playing video games, I'd have laughed at you. It was, 6'5", 250 pounds. That's not usually what you consider to be a gamer, and I just, as much as I've loved video games since I was a kid, I never would have thought that was going to be a thing, but we were, even with, B and Jam and Echo and all them, we were friends, and we are friends. And I think that's something that video games can do,
Mm-hmm. Quick one for you. Marry, fuck, kill. Jam Jar, Dado, KD Wolf.
KD, I'd screw KD. Dado says that, well, actually, I think I have it here.
I think I'd be a pretty good gay lover, probably.
As much as Dado says that, I think I'd have to go with KD. He's a real sensitive guy. He's just a tender lover, I bet. Mary, I don't know if I can listen to Dado all day. I don't know if I can do that. I mean, we're basically married as it is. I call my other wife, so I guess I'm gonna say that.
Yep,
I'm gonna say it. And kill Jam. Oh, that's a tough one, man. I don't know if I kill Jam or Dado. I'd probably kill Dado for being married to him.
So Jam gets off the hook.
Yeah, Jam's off the hook. Yeah, Jam's off the hook. He's, Jam taught me, between Jam and Mr. B, they taught me just because it's an apocalypse doesn't mean you can't look good. Fashion matters.
Exactly. It's not how well you play, it's how good you look playing.
Absolutely.
Although saying that, it's not quite as easy now with the new 110 update. Well, I say new; it's been out for a few months at this point. But with the installation and stuff, depending on the server you're playing on, you have to be very careful of what clothing you wear, so you don't freeze your unmentionables off.
Yeah, you're wearing a giant poofy jacket, and you come across a really awesome military shirt, and you just go, "Too bad, I'm too cold. My nipples are rock hard. I gotta get out of here. Got to keep my poofy jacket."
Yeah, I think some servers have different items at different installation levels as well. So it doesn't seem to be, well, certainly from my experience anyway, recently, it doesn't seem to be a uniform idea across all servers at this point.
You know what? The cool thing is, though, is that it's not everybody looks the same. Not everybody's wearing an M65 jacket and Gorka pants. You see guys walking around with snowball hats on and an SKS because they're just trying to keep their head warm.
Yeah.
So it's actually been nice that there's more items getting used.
It's been a game changer, like you said.
Yeah, Namalsk has given meaning to a lot of different items that have been worthless for a long time.
Yeah. What's your experiences of Namalsk been so far? Have you got to go and see the event as it happens when you get knocked out up at Athena 1? And have what's your sort of how have things gone with that compared to your sort of vast knowledge of the game leading up to Namalsk?
Namalsk has brought back feelings of early DayZ for me. And
did you play the mod?
So I started I was a COD boy. I came over from Call of Duty. That's all I did on YouTube. That's when I streamed at first. And a guy, his name was Mr. Glock. He introduced me to Gold Glove and DayZ. Yep. So I started watching Goldie, and I've talked to Goldie, man. Brennan, he's such a cool dude. I've talked to him several times at different Twitch parties and stuff. And, him and Vern, one of the first things I remember is Vern on the Novo Capitol building saying he's going to jump off. And Brennan says, if you try and jump him, I'll shoot you in the leg. But he misses and shot him right in the head. And I was hooked. I was hooked on DayZ, and Namalsk brings that back to me. It brings back the real rustic feeling. Yep. I know that's going to run out with how small that map is the only problem.
Yeah.
When it's new and fresh and you don't know where you're going, but as soon as you figure out where you're going and you realize how small that map is, it takes a lot of the unknown out of it.
Have you heard of Athena 3?
Hell, I've been playing Chernarus for 5,000 hours and I still get lost in Chernarus.
Yeah. Have you heard of Athena 3?
I have not.
Okay, I won't spoil too much for you, but there is more to come with Namalsk. Sumrak, the creator, put out a tweet, A1 plus A2 equals ? So everyone's thinking Athena 3. He's got a expansion coming to the map, so he's going to be adding more stuff to it, to the lore of it. So don't give up on it just yet.
That, man. I know this was an unofficial map, but they better be taking care of him because that game is in good hands with some.
Yes. Yes, it is. He's done an amazing job. The best thing he's
brought a lot of people back to that game.
Yeah, and he gave us a new way to play the game. One of the big challenges with DayZ is, you don't value your character. The cold resistance or frost resistance was a stroke of genius. It gives you a reason to value a character's life beyond just vanity of how long your beard's gotten or something like that.
Soft skills. Imagine that.
Yeah. And a soft skill that actually works. I was watching someone build a base yesterday, and you've got the soft skill bar there. Part of it's repairing, part of it is harvesting resources. And he's chopping down trees and all the rest of it, and it would move a little bit, and then he would sharpen the tool again. It would move back the other way, so he was constantly stuck in the middle and not seeing any benefit.
That's so DayZ. Oh,
yeah.
It's a feature.
Great feature. We love the features of DayZ.
It's one of the few things I wish they would fix. That and zombies. I don't even care about the cars. I don't drive in DayZ because one, obviously, as we all know, driving just isn't quite what we would like it to be. And two, even if it was perfect, I'd still somehow manage to crash in the middle of the open where there's nothing around me, knowing my luck. So I just tend to just stick to the two legs I was born with. But I think infected is one of the things. But it's amazing to see how far the game has come in the last couple of years, and then how how Adam Sumracker seemed to have had such a positive impact on that, and then prepared it for Namalsk, and how Namalsk, like you say, has brought so many people back. I think I wonder whether if Adam hadn't had that idea and dream of bringing Namalsk back, whether or not the game would actually still be where it is now with the 110 update and the changes that came with that. And because I think arguably the game is in the best state it's been in a very long time. Obviously there's still features, there's still things that need ironing out, but it's far from being that 1 FPS in Electro mess that it was back when I first discovered the game, back long before I could even play it.
I have an answer for your question. If DayZ would still be what it was without some right now,
go for it.
That is not the right button. It was this button.
How about no?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Because a lot of what brought some of those bigger streamers in, which we all know how important Twitch can be. Twitch isn't a make or break for a game, but it can be incredibly important for it. Namalsk has been a big part of that, bringing those guys back. And I know that, Shroud and Summit and those guys, they also played on Livonia. But between Livonia and Namalsk, every time DayZ releases new, good, usable content, the player numbers skyrocket.
Yeah.
The interest is still there by a lot. And Adam has just really tapped into some of that. And if he's adding to Namalsk, I mean, I'm going to be over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I think it was either in his Discord or it was in Twitter where he did put something saying that there was going to be a content update. I think it was like the 3rd, I think it was, of December that he released Namalsk, and before Christmas, I think we already had like 2 updates for sort of fixes and ironing out a few of the little things that weren't quite what he wanted them. So it says quite a lot about the guy. The fact that he's the lead developer of the game in general, and he's been able to do that to such a high level in his spare time, says a hell of a lot about him as a man, but also about the game and who's at the forefront of it and the future for the game.
You know, when Brian was there, and I've talked with Brian a lot, and when Hicks was there, he loved DayZ, and that's incredibly important. And when he left, I'm not saying the people that were left there didn't love DayZ. I know they love DayZ, but the passion that Hicks had for that game was really unmatched by maybe only other than Dean, and that's what Sum has. He wants DayZ to be all that it can be, and he's going to do what he can to help make that happen. And that's so important for people like us that like playing that game.
Yeah. I think if it wasn't for him, I think a lot of people would have already kind of put DayZ on the back burner a bit. I think people would have sort of gone, well, it's not a lot's going on. I don't know how much I really enjoy this game. I think he's with Namalsk and with the direction he's taken the game in general. I think it's definitely added something. It's kind of reinvigorated the community. I mean, we recently hit like an all-time. I think it was actually the all-time highest player count on PC. Since its release in 2013. So I mean I think that fact alone speaks volumes.
We've just been joined by Gravity Wolf. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, my friends. I just came in for my weekly I love you guys.
Thank you so much, mate. Gravity Wolf LP is one of the guys behind the Vanilla Plus servers. Probably the best deathmatch servers if you've ever tried them.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. He's a bit of a modding genius as well. One of our regulars here.
Call me that. But thank you.
And he's also a butcher. He's also a man after your own heart, LP. He's a butcher by trade. He's now working in IT, but he's the man if you have any butcher questions.
Ooh, a man who likes to rub butts like I do. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Chicken, beef. Pork,
yeah, I dig it, man. Gravity Brim says that he wants you to mod in wiener socks like Scum.
And I want all different colors like the Chinese finger traps.
That can be linked together with somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting that Sumrak has brought so much life back to the game, because I know there was a lot of people questioning the direction he was taking the game in the past. More the hardcore survival. Everyone knows one of his favorite games is The Long Dark, which is a very hardcore survival game. And
Hell yeah, it is.
His Namolsk is more hardcore than what people were used to, but it proved that despite the fact that the majority of people play on your high loot, 1 million times servers, McMansions everywhere, and all the rest of it, there is an audience for the hardcore style of DayZ, which it tickled my heart, made me very happy.
Absolutely.
No, it's been fantastic to see Brim. He's really brought a good direction to the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just before Namausk was coming out, obviously he hyped it so well as well. I think we've mentioned on the podcast before how the marketing leading up to Namausk's release was a stroke of genius, and for a long time, and it's still to the point to this day, I tend to spend most of my time on DayZ lone wolfing it, just running around, enjoying myself, just keeping myself to myself. I've usually got a YouTube video or a film or something on, and I'm just running. If I'm not streaming, I'm just running around, just dicking about, doing my own thing. And it's weird how something like Namausk, it seems so insignificant, but it's had such a massive impact on the community as a whole. Like it made me actually enjoy DayZ a lot more, because I knew that there wasn't going to be that same, I'm just going to log on to Chernarus, I'm going to spawn on the coast, I'm going to run up through Electro, I'm going to do the Topolka Dam to Steroy run, I'm going to get shot in the face at Steroy, and then I'm going to do it all over again. That wasn't a thing with Namausk. Namausk changed that. So I think having that really, I'm nothing special. If I feel that way, and if it had that effect on me, I can imagine it probably had that effect on a few people.
Agreed.
And probably a few people did sort of go, or were at that sort of end bit where they're like, I don't know if I really want to play DayZ anymore. And then suddenly Sumrak just goes, oh guys, by the way, you've got like a month and Namausk is out.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it was out, 2 updates, highest player count in history.
And
the
he
whole
just
fucking world's
released
just gone
these
mad.
things that no one knew about, like the orb, and then
Yeah.
the teleportation and the storms, and the lore that he released. Finding those little packages with notes and that in there. How good has that been, LP?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I definitely read every single word of those.
Yeah. Do you think they should become canon for DayZ?
Way too. You talking about the Intel folders?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a reader. Okay, not that I can't read, but it is definitely not one of my favorite things to do. And I have definitely not read through those. There's a lot there, but I bet you that adds a lot to the lore, though. I really should. I should tell chat to be patient, and I'm going to take 2.5 hours to read through this one Intel, and yeah, I think it's the little trinkets, definitely add up a lot.
So what have you got coming up, mate? Anything we should be keeping our eyes open for?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'll be streaming on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. No, not really, man. I just, I don't really get too far ahead of myself. I don't really plan that much. I just kind of wing it, and if people show up to hang out and laugh, then that's good enough for me, as long as at least once in a while we add in some new friends, some new viewers, and some new community members. I'm a pretty happy guy. I'm pretty easy to please.
Well, I've shared your Twitter and your Twitch in my chat, and I'm certain Brim will do the same with his viewers tonight, mate. But you said you had about half an hour or so, and I think we've already kept you for an hour already, mate.
Yeah, man, I got to check out my meat.
LP, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, mate. You're an absolute legend of the DayZ community, and a very positive person as well. You're the sort that we love on the show. You're just a meaty boy. Zombie is calling you in chat. I like that.
I'll take it. That's a compliment.
That is a compliment. Make sure you share some photos of your smoke today, mate. I love watching them.
I will do, guys. I appreciate you thinking of me, having me on, and I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend.
We will, my friend. We will. All the best. Brim, I'll let you say goodbye. I know you're a massive fan.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure, LP, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.
Definitely not the last, guys. I appreciate it.
Definitely.
All the best, mate. And I'll arrange also for someone from the creator server to send you a message so they can fill you in and you can make a decision on whether you want to join in the shenanigans as well.
That sounds great, guys.
Too easy, buddy. All the best.
All right. Have a good one.
And we are not done, folks. We've got a whole agenda tonight of topics to be talking about.
We do.
Here we
Got some pretty. I would like to point out as well that we have managed to sort of cultivate, if you like, this week. Whilst there's been some small negative things here or there, nothing major, we seem to have managed to keep quite a positive and quite a light-hearted agenda this week as well.
Yes.
There's quite a lot of really cool things happening at the moment. That, I think to the point where we couldn't even fit them all into one agenda, and we're having to carry some over to next week. So
we've got, thank you very much for the gift subscription, LP. Really, really appreciate it, mate. But we've got something that's been brought up, so we can probably kill two topics here, Brim. The one, number 9, the OTV Rust server, we'll come to in a second, but everyone's been tweeting about the success of all these streamers doing drops with Rust.
yes.
Now, I did actually ask the dev team, and they said at the moment it's not possible with DayZ, just the way it's set up. But it's something that they are keeping an eye on. So, yeah, I know it'd be great if we would be able to do it, but it's not something that I didn't think it was going to be possible. Like, how could they do it, Brim?
No. I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, I'm the least qualified person to ask that as well, really, because I know fuck all about that sort of thing. But I mean, Call of Duty had them when Call of Duty with Warzone everything first came out. They had drops on. Rust has had them. A couple of games have had them here or there, and they've worked really well. But I think with the way that like you said, with the way DayZ's set up and the way it works, I don't see it working because you don't have any one specific unless it's just going to be vanilla only. You don't have any one specific server or one character that carries across to every server. Obviously, if I was to join one of the Blue Waffle servers right now, get a character going, once I log out, I can join a different server, but it'd be a completely different, fresh character. So what would happen then to the stuff that I get from those drops? It would have to, in theory, be vanilla only.
Yeah.
And when you've got such a massive portion of the player base that doesn't touch vanilla with a 10-foot barge pole, such as myself, the only time I ever play vanilla is when Experimental's released, and then because it's a quick and easy stream title for me. I can literally, because I'm shit when it comes to titles and I'm shit with streaming in general, so as soon as there's a new Experimental update for the next big patch, it's such like first day, bang, there you go. Look, 1.11 update is coming out soon. I'm on the Experimental. There you go, bang. So quick and easy. I don't have to think about it. So, you know, I would love to see it. I'm in the same boat as you and everyone else. I would love to see drops, but I can't see it happening. The only thing I can see happening in regards to it is something similar to what Rudy's just put in your chat. EA style loot boxes, obviously not the pay to win version. Not the pay to win version, obviously.
Curse on you! Don't say that.
But things like you know, like you go around in all these battle royale games, you go around, you find chests full of loot. Something like that perhaps could work, but even then, there's not really a need for that because with the modding community and with the game as it is, I think that would detract from the survival, because if you're a fresh spawn and you've just spawned, you know, right outside Kamishovo, so you go straight to the police station and there's a fucking massive chest in there that's got an AK with enough enough mags and ammo to last you, some food and and a bandage or two, then you've already got the leg up on the next person. And I think that's not really what DayZ is. I think that would be a step in the wrong direction for it.
So how are they doing it in Rust? Like, someone's just said there, unless they did a skin or something to a gun, that's probably about the only way that I can think of, is that they add a mechanic to the game that when you start, you put your shirt in your hand and an option comes up to change skin to custom item 1, custom item 2, or something like that. That's about the only way I can think of for this.
I think that's pretty much how Rust has it from what I've seen. Like I say, I've only put an extra hour or 2 maybe into Rust in the last week since I re-downloaded it. But with the drops, I've been on and I've unlocked a bunch of drops, and it is literally just like a skin for a gun, but you still have to go and find that gun. And it's the same with, it's like a different style of t-shirt, but again, you have to go and find that t-shirt or get that t-shirt or buy it at a trader, or because Rust has that similar thing with DayZ in that it's got its vanilla, but it's also got its modded and community servers. So it's not going to give you any sort of pay to win, or in this case watch to win and get your drops to win. But yeah, like I say, I would love to see it for DayZ, but I don't see how they could possibly implement it given the way that DayZ actually plays. Because like I say, there's no one character that carries over to every server. If they had it where there was that one character that you had no matter what server you're on, and it's persistent across all servers, vanilla, modded, everything, then I think it could start working. But I think, since I don't imagine that's going to become a thing for DayZ anytime soon, I don't see drops becoming a thing in DayZ for quite some time.
So the Shroud hoodie would be through a mod, and you use a repair bench to skin the item. So if they had modders allow it, then it's possible, but not for vanilla alone. That's actually interesting. Yeah, okay. You take it to those workbenches, and you can reskin the item. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
So what is drops? No, drops, Twinkle Toes, are basically, if we had drops enabled on this, just you being here watching me would add a random chance for you to receive something if you've got your Twitch account linked with your Steam account, or whatever. And items are randomly sent to your account just by watching the viewer. It can be usually it's just like skinned items, and it really became famous with Escape from Tarkov when they did it, and blew up massively. Absolutely blew up.
Yeah. I think the difference though with Tarkov is watching Hellfire and with him doing it, because he would have like 10 tabs open in Chrome. I'd go to his house and I'd just be like, fucking hell, mate, you're a bit busy on Chrome, are you? And he'd literally have 10 tabs open, and they'd all be different Escape from Tarkov streamers with drops enabled. But the difference being is in Tarkov is you would get items that were actually useful. So you could get a gun, or you could get like something called a GP coin, which is like a special item which you go and sell for a very high reward, kind of like you get with DayZ with modded. You get like the gold nuggets and things like that, and you can take them to a trader, and that gold nugget could be worth, say, 10,000 rubles, for example. Things like that. It worked in that similar way, but I think that specifically the way that worked in Tarkov with the items you would get, I think wouldn't work particularly well in DayZ, because imagine you jump onto a server, modded or otherwise, you don't know that drops exist. So you just jump on, you start fresh in Cherno or whatever, like anyone else. But then the next guy in the next town over, he's been watching drops. He's managed to gather himself an AK, and he's managed to gather himself a special item and run straight to the trader and make 10 grand. You're still fighting it out on the coast, trying not to get battered by zombies. It's, once you introduce that I think that would have a negative impact on the community, because at that point you think, well, why the fuck am I running around like a headless chicken getting battered by zombies when I could just log out, whack a Twitch stream on, and then go and have a shower, go and make myself a drink, come back, and then an hour later, oh shit, I've already got something in my inventory. I didn't have to do anything for it. It kind of, I don't think it would work that well in DayZ.
And it doesn't show up in your inventory in-game, Twinkle Toes. It shows up in your Steam library inventory as an item that you've received. So I don't know whether you can trade them with some of the PUBG stuff that you've received through promotions they've done, you can't actually trade them. Not tradable, not marketable. But that would all depend on the game. So, yeah. But if you've got it, then you have the ability to equip it however that mechanic works. So
it's a damn clever idea. Like the
Yeah.
idea of Twitch drops is fucking genius, and whoever came up with that idea and the people that coded that need a fucking raise. They need a hearty handshake because it's such a clever idea. I mean, looking at someone like Sacriel that LP mentioned earlier. Obviously, he was playing Rust the other week. Like normally, no matter what game he plays, he would sit somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 concurrent viewers. But he was playing Rust and he had like 25, 30,000. So you've got a lot of these drops work well for us as streamers, because if you've got drops enabled on your channel, you're gonna get that. You're in theory gonna get that extra viewership. And you still have that thing of, right, well, I could have, 500 people watching me, but out of that 500, how many are actually going to follow? How many are going to sub? How many are going to come back once the drops are no longer enabled? But at least it's giving that extra chance, that opportunity where there is a chance that because I've got 500 people watching me that wouldn't normally, suddenly I've been discovered by 2 or 3. So there's always that chance. So it is a very good thing, but like I say, I don't see it ever in theory working for DayZ.
No.
I would love for it to work. I would love for someone somewhere to figure out how, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Okay, so we'll jump to number 9 then, the OTV Rust server. Will Erno and Inclement Dab have the same success? Now, I linked to a video. How basically it's a channel called Esports Talk, and they talk in there about how offline TV used Rust to dominate Twitch. The numbers that they are getting watching this game are absolutely insane.
Oh yeah. Like anytime I go onto Twitch now, if you go browse like by game category, viewers high to low, Rust is at the top. And it has been for a little while now. And it's really good to see. It's absolutely phenomenal to see a good game like Rust getting that level of attention again. As for the question as to whether Erno and Inclement's server for DayZ could work, absolutely. I think it could work. But it's gonna be, I don't know how they're gonna do it. Because I haven't spoken to either of them about it. So I don't know what their thoughts are, what their plans are. All I've seen is what anyone else can see publicly, either in the Discord or on their Twitters where they've spoken about it. So I've joined it. I've seen so
joined
far,
it now.
Yeah, I've joined the Discord. But from what I can tell, it's, and I hate to say it, but it kind of seems like it's basically the day one servers with a different name to it. You're gonna, in effect, because you're gonna have that same thing, or I hope they can figure where they don't have the same thing, where in the early days of day one it was, right, well, we know Smoke's opened these servers, he's gonna be playing on it. Shroud's come back, we know he's playing on it. Lax is playing to however many thousands of people, we know he's on that server, so we're going to go on and see if we can get our 5 minutes of fame, messing about and annoying Lax or annoying Smoke or insert name of streamer here. And you get these fanboys, hence why it was always such a high pop with such a high queue. So I'm hoping that that's not the direction that Dab and Erno's server goes in.
They're keeping a close eye on everyone. They're going to be keeping a close eye on everyone. And I think people who are in that latter category will be weeded out quite quickly, and I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I really do want this to succeed. I have my fears as well, but looking at, obviously we don't have the likes of XQC and bloody Pokimane and all the rest of them lined up to jump on a DayZ server, but amongst the DayZ community, there's a potential here to create something truly amazing. And I really want them to succeed. And I thought about it. Initially, I'd said I wouldn't, but I said, fuck it. I can't help it succeed if I don't join it myself. So I said, fuck it. I'm just going to join it and try to do what I can to help them succeed, because, you've worked on a server now. I've got my own server. There's a lot of work goes into it. So rather than sitting back sniping from afar, I'm going to jump in, fucking get my hands dirty and do what I can to help them make this server be amazing. Sadly, as
Yeah.
Scale Speed has just said, though, drama brings views.
Yeah.
And I do worry, but I hope people can pull their big boy and girl panties on and realize that they could create something fucking amazing and be part of it to the benefit of everyone, or they could be selfish and just think of themselves. And I hope people think of the former and not the latter.
Yeah, and I think the difference between me and you and them as well is that what me and you have done with our respective servers, although not me so much because I'm more of the backstage help than the main focal of it, but is we haven't tried to do anything specifically majorly different. You know, we've added mods to our servers that make things a little bit different and kind of sculpt them in our own image in a way and what we would like to see.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is a whole nother kettle of fish, so to speak. Not that I know where the fuck that saying come from now to speak of it, because who the fuck puts a fish in a kettle? But at the end of the day, they're doing something that's way beyond what we've tried to do. So they're going to have a lot harder time dealing with what they've got to deal with that than we would with our servers. But at the same time, you look at it and you think you've got names like Erno and Inclement Dab at the helm.
Yep.
You know, they're almost, I don't want to hype it a little bit too much, but they're almost guaranteed to succeed because you've got those two names, not just because of their names and what those names represent in the community, but because of who those people are as people, with their knowledge of the game, with their knowledge of coding and how things work. If anyone's going to get it working and working well, it's going to be them. So I think it's going to be a case of only time will tell. But I've got my fingers crossed, hoping that, you know, something really good comes out of it. And I think what we need to do as the podcast ourselves is see if at some point in the near future we can get them both on to talk about it, about their plans, promote it for them a bit, and find out more from them what they want to see and what they want doing with that server. So that we can get a better idea, and then more content creators that have already signed up to it can get an idea of what's expected of them once they get on the server.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know they've spoken in their Discord that base building is going to be a thing that you can do. But there's going to be some people that aren't base builders. You're going to get some people that are your PvP, run straight to a military base, grab a gun, and, you know, put hot lead into the first thing they see. So there's going to be a bit of a weird dynamic, I think, where you're going to get guys who are wanting to build a base and raid a base, and then another set of group of people who are going to be your PvE players that don't want to mess about with any of that, just want to survive and have interaction, and then another separate subs group of people, if you will, that are just going to want to shoot everything. So I hope all those different entities don't clash too much on those servers, because otherwise it is going to suddenly devolve into that drama getting views side of things, where, you know, imagine you're someone who's spent 12 hours running around the game with a couple of friends who are also content creators. You've built a nice little base, you fought off a little bit of PvP to get some of the materials to build your base, but then suddenly insert name of PvP streamer here, you know, turns up with his 3 or 4 friends that are into the same thing, and they just shoot the shit out of you. You're going to get a bit frustrating. You're not going to want to play that server so much anymore. So you're going to go out and find a different server that, you know, that caters to your play style a bit better. So there's going to be, judging by the list of names of people who are in that Discord already, there's going to be a lot of clashes of play styles. So it'll be very interesting to see how that unfolds.
People are going to need to be very professional and realize it's not personal, and that, you know, it's something I learned a while back, that just because your story got ruined doesn't mean someone else's got ruined. That your death may have, or your torture or whatever may have made someone else's story great. And sometimes you've got to take one for the team. It might suck, but so be it.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the list of the people that are already in that Discord, and you see a lot of names that you never see together. You see a lot of names of, you know, you see guys like Minder and other members of the Karma crew who you don't see them put together with Boydie, with Brimstone, with various other Uncle Ray, various other names, you know, because the play styles are too different. You know, we don't, you know, and that's nothing against them in any way. You know, that's nothing against Minder or the Karma Crew or anyone else. Their playstyle's their playstyle. They're very good at it. Carry on. But there's a reason you don't see me putting out a YouTube video saying bumped into Minder in, you know, at Northwest and this is what happened, because that's never likely to happen because we don't play on the same servers. We don't have the same play style. So now you're going to have that situation where you've got Brimstones running around on this server, Minder's running around on the server, two different play styles clash.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to pan out? You know, so and those names, my name, Minder's name, they're interchangeable to anyone's name, essentially. You know, but at the same time, I think that kind of is maybe, hopefully, is going to be part of the charm of that server, because you're going to have a lot of people like Minder and myself that are going to play on that server, who are two very different people with very different play styles. If I bump into Minder, I'm perfectly happy to play his play style and try something different. And I would hope the same from someone like him to me as well. Maybe he puts down his gun and helps me grow some food for everyone, you know, and does things differently. And there's a chance for different stories to be told that aren't stories that you've seen before. There's a chance that, I mean, imagine you log into YouTube tomorrow and suddenly Minder's uploaded a 20-minute video and he doesn't kill a single person, doesn't even raise a gun in the whole of that video. That's going to be something that you've never seen before.
Yep.
So that's going to create some excitement.
There's potential for a lot of amazing collabs to come out of this.
I think that's going to be the biggest thing as well, is there's going to be so many more collaborations between streamers that wouldn't normally collaborate. I think it's opening up the door for a lot more people to have a much better time. And it's going to allow for more different, like you say, different people to meet up, have those collaborations, and sort of kind of like how Soma mentioned on the podcast last week when he originally started working at Twitch. Because of what he had done with the Survivor games, he was creating that sense of community. And that's why Twitch wanted to hire him, because he had done something with Survivor games with the guys that Twitch had not been able to do up until that point.
Yeah. Maybe
this server will be the you know, to use a metaphor, the Survivor games of the current day, where, you know, you've got that thing that suddenly does something that we haven't been able to do or see in DayZ yet, in creating all these collaborations between these streamers, YouTubers, whatever, and it creates something completely different that you know, launches people that little bit further forward, maybe even takes a few people and launches them to the levels of Running Mans and Smoke. You know, we could see that, and it's an exciting prospect that we could see something really, really interesting like that come up very soon.
Now, the next point, and I don't know why, but I didn't put a link in there, but I saw on Facebook that someone is making a thermal scope for DayZ. Have you seen that, Brim?
I had, yeah. Well, it wasn't until I think it was Wiidevil mentioned it in the admin chat or something a few days back. He said something about I hadn't seen a lot, but he had seen some thermal scope things. So I did type in on Steam thermal scope under the DayZ workshop, and there is a thermal scope mod there, and it looks really fucking interesting for what it is. You know, I think it's still a work in progress, but it should be very interesting. If they can get a proper, decent working thermal scope in DayZ, like, that'll be a really interesting thing to see.
So the video I saw was a bit more in-depth than this.
Yeah. Yeah, the video I saw was a bit more in-depth than what you just see on the Steam page as well, but I can't remember where I saw the video.
No, I think it was on Facebook, so that's why I couldn't get a link to it.
Yeah, I think that might be it, because I've noticed that the DayZ standalone Facebook group itself not every post that's put up has the ability for you to just share it and copy a link and things like you do with so many other things. But yeah, the video I saw, hopefully it's the same video you saw and I'm not hallucinating somewhere, but it showed that there was actually, you know, there was like that grey scope, but then different items, like living items like cows and living beings with heat signatures actually showed up quite brightly, which looked really, really cool. And I think that could add a whole new dynamic. I'm thinking more in terms of content creation. It'll add something new to a YouTube video. You think of guys like Minder, who, you know, I keep bringing him up, but guys like that who are, you know, and Toprek, who are very, very good at the PvP side of DayZ. you suddenly log into YouTube and you see that one of those guys has uploaded a video saying, using the new thermal scope in DayZ to kill a squad, for example. How quickly are you going to click that video? Even if you cannot stand PvP, you're going to click that video relatively quickly, I would have thought. I know I certainly would.
Yeah, give me a sec. I think. Oh, no. I think I just found the link to it.
I think
Yep, got
I
it.
saw the video in the Facebook group, but
I've got a couple
cannot
of images,
remember.
not the video, but
Can
Blackout's
you
new
share
exclusive.
your screen in Discord?
Bada boom, bada bing. Remember how to do this again. So it's not the actual video, but it's just a couple of posts.
Yeah. Look at that though, it's literally got the different coloured heat signatures on that player body as well. Like the red denote it's part of the body on the head and things like that.
I was really hoping to find the actual video though, because the video was very cool to watch.
Yeah, I can't remember. Well, like I say, I can't remember if the video was on the Steam Workshop or where at the time and has now been removed, or whether I did see the video on Facebook. And I remember seeing the same video you saw, but I just don't remember where I saw it. I mean, there's a link there, that Kristen Nicole one that has got a link to a Discord there. So I'm assuming that it'll be in a Discord. There'll probably be some stuff. So it might be worth looking into over the next week or so before the next episode, joining some Discords and seeing what we can find. But
yeah,
either way, it's a damn cool idea, and it's another one of those things where, and there seems to be a lot of this now, where the modding community has taken things to such another level that you kind of, a new thing gets released and you kind of think, well, yeah, why wasn't that released already? But at the same time, you look at it and go, fuck, that's clever. And it's a weird juxtaposition if you're not sure why wasn't it already thought done. But also, yeah, it's like, it's really cool, and I'm glad it is being done.
Now you shared Baby Nade's tweet.
Did I?
The infected in DayZ really hold the game back. They are a glitchy mess
Yes.
and have never been fun to fight. I think if they fast walked instead of sprint, only went down to headshots by melee or gunner, their numbers were increased drastically, then they would be light years better.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with 100% of what Baby Nade's tweeted there. I think we mentioned it earlier with LP, and we've mentioned it many times on the podcast in the past that the infected in DayZ, they're either not a threat at all, or they're a fucking ginormous threat that you cannot fight because they feature themselves through a wall or a door in great numbers. So I mean, I've noticed in the last couple of weeks playing, I will purposefully go and fight a zombie now to see whether or not it works, because the amount of times I will swing a melee weapon at a zombie's head and it has no effect, but then I don't actually change, I don't move my mouse and I just hit the exact same spot and it hits them in the head and takes them out. It is so featurey, if you will, that there's the actual melee combat itself is in need of a little bit of work, but specifically in regards to the infected, like Baby Nade says, they're a glitchy mess, and if they fast walked instead of sprinted, you'd be able to run. I mean, you're still able to run away from them quite easily now anyway, depending on the server you play on, whether you're vanilla or modded. If you've got infinite stamina on a modded server, zombies are nothing. You can just run away from them regardless. But having them then only be able to be taken down by headshots, which is, let's be honest, historically in all movies and films for the last 100 years is pretty much exactly how zombies are taken out. it makes sense to have them to just tweak them slightly, make it so that they're not running through closed, locked doors or going through walls. Make it so that they're a little bit stronger in the sense that they can only be killed with headshots, but then have it so that they work slightly differently. Yeah, there you go.
Is that it is, Rudy?
Cheap sod who's make that video needs to activate Windows as well.
So yeah, that was the video on the thermal scope. As you can see, they really stand out, and yeah.
I think that could look a little bit like it could be a bit overpowered.
Yeah.
I think that might be one reason why we haven't seen things like that, and we only have like one or two night vision scopes in the game. I mean, we've obviously got the vanilla one, that big black fucking thing that sits on the top of AKs that's horrendous to use, and then you've got one or two modded ones that are quite nice, but that seems to be like, a thermal scope like that to show up that well. Or like, imagine you're on Sniper Hill overlooking VMC on a server that's got 110 people on it. You're hidden with a ghillie suit in a bush. No one knows you're there, but you've got a big ass fucking scope like that can see a million miles away and show up only things that are like players' bodies and things like that, and heat signatures like that. You've got a massive advantage. And if you're playing modded and you have one of those scopes on something like a big 50 cal rifle, it's game. If you're on the receiving end of that, it's game over. And that would be a very frustrating thing to try and fight against.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be one of those things where there'll be some servers that'll go all in, and every man and his dog will be running around with a thermal, and then there'll be other servers where there'll be one, and it will be highly sought after and protected, and each to their own.
Yeah.
I'm personally not a fan. I think it's too much of a advantage to whoever's got it, but that's just the way I play. If other people want to use it, go for gold, have fun with it. Either way, it's a very clever mod, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to it based on the comments we saw on the Facebook post for it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of hype around it, but I find theory and reality tend to be two very different things. In theory, it's a fantastic new mod that I'm very excited, and I hope it does get released and that the modders get some success with it. Fair dues to them. But on the other side, in reality, would it actually work in DayZ? And like you say, it's going to be based server to server. Like some servers are going to be great for it, other servers just will not work for it. I think it will work really well on like a PvE server where hunting is more of a hardcore PvE, where hunting is more of a has more of an importance laid on it rather than a PvP server. But at the same time, it's you think it's kind of designed for a PvP anyway. But at the same time, it'd be a little bit too powerful for PvP, I think. So I think there's going to be a few tweaks that are going to be needed before we know for certain whether it's going to be a particularly good mod.
But yeah, back to Baby Nade's post. I definitely agree. The infected need a lot of work. But that's one key thing that people need to remember is I know we all call them zombies, but technically the lore of DayZ is they're not zombies. They're actually just infected people with like a rage virus. So the old headshot argument does kind of get a bit weakened by that when you consider that they're not mythical creatures. They're just people with a rage virus that is... causing them to be a bit munted.
Yeah, I mean, but again, when you look at films and TV, and you look at things like the 28 Days Later film, and I think they then did 28 Weeks Later as well, which was horrendous, possibly the worst sequel to any film ever. Those were in 28 Days Later, it was humans infected by the rage virus, by a weaponized version of the rage, and even in that film, it was, one headshot took those rage infected humans down, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the human body cannot possibly function without some brain function. And historically, throughout the lore of zombies and infected in films and TV, they've still got that basic instinct in their brain to survive, to eat, and to go down that route. So I think they kind of need to still follow that same premise, that at the end of the day, they're not zombies, they are infected people, but they still have that same basic
Headshots
brain
need to be
function.
rewarded better than they currently are with infected.
Yeah.
If you get at least obviously with a 22, unless you get a really the brain is a pretty big thing, but people can survive a bullet to the head. But
yeah.
a couple of 9mm rounds to the head and they should drop.
Yeah. I think the inconsistency with it is one of the biggest issues with the infected, is that you could shoot one zombie with a 5.56 from your M4 right in the head and it will drop in one hit.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do that to the next zombie that aggroed to that first gunshot, and it takes 2 shots to take them down, because that first shot doesn't quite do quite what you expected it to do, because it had done it for the first. So I think there needs to be some consistency.
Primal brain function. That's why they run like apes, Kaiser's saying in chat.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense. They've still got that little bit of brain left, just enough to keep them upright and moving forward and looking for their next meal. That basic animal survival instinct, which you should be able to completely remove like that with a bullet.
Now, another tweet you shared, Brim, our mate BWAF started feeling a little feverish today, and the poor bugger went and got tested and got diagnosed with COVID. Yet another person in the community gets it.
But thankfully, I do have an update, because he was in my chat earlier, and he said it was quite mild, feeling much better already. So it looks like he's basically on the mend. He only caught a little tail piece of the virus, so nothing to worry about. But either way, obviously we wish him a speedy recovery.
And my mate Moonshine is still recovering. He got COVID last year. But obviously those who know him know that he's got a few other health issues as well. He's had a really rough run of it, but him and his family are all recovering. Still trying to work out how the fuck they got it. But yeah, he's coming along okay as well at the moment, it seems. He was in chat earlier. So yeah, big shout out to Moonshine as well. Get well soon, buddy.
Absolutely.
Inclement Dab, what did he share? Oh, we were talking about cars before. When you look both ways across the road but forget you live in Chernerus. I love this.
It's brilliant.
Lawski. Mate, he is absolutely on fire at the moment, Inclement Dab. Yeah, we talked about last week, I think, between him and Jacob Mango, there's nothing that they're not involved in DayZ. But Inclement Dab is just gone into full psycho mode. He's putting these hilarious little clips out. I'm going to put a link to his tweet in chat, but definitely follow this guy, folks. Not only is he a idiot savant of bloody modding, the stuff he does is... I had another modder, just telling me the other day that they said to him an idea they had, and within an hour or two, he came back to them with a working draft of it. That obviously needed a lot of fine-tuning, but the guy is just absolutely insane.
The guy is ridiculously good at what he does. And this specific video, it hit home for me because I still to this day look both ways before crossing the road in DayZ. I don't do it in real life, and it's very nearly killed me on multiple occasions recently. But in game, I could be full tilt, fucking infinite stamina sprinting towards a road, and I will always hit Alt on my keyboard to lock my character in one position and use it just to do that with my character's head and look each way as I'm approaching a road, so I know I can definitely run across it to this day. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but yeah, it's to see my gameplay style brought to life in that video and how it quite often ends is always brilliant.
And Gravity Wolf has shared another account that Inclement Dab has with Dancer Jesus, their meme account, which is basically a parody of the DayZ account, as it says in the description.
Them.
Yeah. Hey, survivors, we heard your concerns about cars becoming uncontrollable and starting to fly. To solve this issue, we will be adding winch as an attachable item in 1.11. It's just brilliant.
I've seen the account and I've liked and retweeted a couple of the tweets from it, but I didn't realize that it was Dab and that lot that were behind it.
But people are falling for it. Yeah, we've got someone here. What about the Tundra? Can you make it so if you're holding left trigger, the gun don't reload until you and then people pointing out this is a parody account, and yeah, not funny. I just want the cars.
People don't realise the fact that people don't take that. If you scroll up to the top of that page, it literally shows that it's not even got, like, if you go onto their actual page, DayZ parody account run by Inclement Dab and Dance of Jesus, and the Twitter tag itself isn't even real. I know they've got an official, like a proper DayZ, pictures there and everything for their display picture or whatever, but it's so obvious just seeing some of the tweets they've put out that it's not DayZ. Granted, I fell for it at first with one of them, but then I read it again and went, no, actually, that's quite clearly parody. Clicked on it and went, oh, look, it actually says parody. The fact that people are falling for that, it doesn't fill me full of confidence for humankind's survival, if I'm honest.
But no, he's just... I've actually spoken to him because Smoke is wanting to really know what he's getting into with the interview, so it might take some time for him. So I've actually reached out to Inclement Dab, and I'm looking at doing a spotlight interview on him because he's just a fascinating individual. You look at his Twitter account, and the guy worked at fucking SpaceX. So I think he'd just be absolutely amazing to talk to and find out, and he's only 22.
Yeah,
I love that. All opinions belong to my imaginary friends.
But again, you look at his age, and it comes back to that we mentioned before. Guys like Rav Plays, when we had him on the podcast, I think he had just turned 19 or something. Yep. You look at Ben Fruit. The guy's, I think he's what, 20, 21? 19. There you go. He's 19 as well, and I know people don't like the name mentioned, but Milo the Average Sniper, when we covered the whole drama stuff around him originally, I think he mentioned on the podcast or in the interview you did with him that he was he's like 20, 21. And you've got all these young guys that are, some of them 10 years younger than me, and it seems like they've been around since long before they even hit puberty. You think obviously we know that's true in the case of Ben Fruit. He was literally a child when he first started out, and he's obviously grown to be an awesome young man and awesome content creator in the process. But it still boggles my mind that some of these names that we've seen around in the community for 5-10 years, that were, some date back to, to the early days of the mod, and you see them and you think, oh, they've got to be in their 30s, 40s probably by now. They've been around for so long. And then you find out, no, when I was doing all that stuff 10 years ago, I was 8. And you think, well, how the fuck? When I was 8, I didn't even know what my own name was half the time, let alone anything else. God, no, I certainly wasn't around computers. Yeah. Well, not for the good stuff that these guys are anyway.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had to laugh at this tweet when I saw it come up in my timeline from Sergei Setkov. It seems like Gucci just stole one of the common DayZ survivor looks: collar dress, blue jeans, damaged beanie, courier bag, athletic shoes.
Yeah,
I looked at it and I went, "Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that is hilarious!" I have
literally seen Uncle Ray Ray run around in pretty much that exact outfit. He tends to go more for the hot pants, the short shorts, rather than the jeans. But that exact outfit, I've seen many people just like Ray Ray run around in that.
I have to say though, this guy looks like he
Is
died
that-
a little inside, having to wear the outfit.
I certainly fucking would as well. He's obviously not getting paid as much as he thinks he should be for that. I'd want 5 figures minimum to rock around in that fucking outfit.
It just makes me think of what is it, Derelict, from someone will tell me the name of the movie. I should remember it. It's one of the all-time classics.
Well, if it's an all-time classic, I can
Ben
almost
Stiller.
guarantee I've not seen it. Oh yeah, I know the one you're
The
on
modelling
about.
movie.
Yeah,
Why can't I remember
Yeah.
it? Zoolander. That's it. Zoolander.
that's the fucker.
Derelict. But yeah, when I saw that was well spotted because it does. Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, hang on. Oh yeah, sneakers as well. Damaged jeans. Yep. Collar dress. Yep. Beanie. Bag. Okay, I'll pay that.
And the funny thing is that model there has got the exact same look on their face as we all have as we run into a town going, either I'm about to die or I'm about to murder everybody. Either
Yeah.
way, my facial expression is not going to change.
Yep. I got the black lung popper. Arrowhead Island, classic Churnerus map. Now, I put out a little vote to see if people would be interested in the classic DayZ map. And sure enough, a few comments came up, and there actually is one out there. Now, it is buggy as fuck. You go in some buildings, and they're half in the ground and half out. But I've got to say, just getting to places like the Northwest Airfield, Northeast Airfield and Berezino, it was really nice. There's only one server running it, and it only has 4 slots on the server. But man, did I have a blast. I had an absolute blast running around and just seeing all these old locations and the old Berezino with the supermarket halfway up the hill, and it was just something different. A bit of, yeah. And I've even been bandying with the idea of maybe launching a small pop one here in Australia just for people who, maybe a month or so, just for people who want to have some memories of the old days and running around the Northwest Airfield and places like that. Buggy as fuck you say, so just like it was before then. Pretty much McKingus. It wouldn't be DayZ without, or I said the B
real
word.
life.
It's got a lot of features, guys. A lot of features.
Yeah, it's very feature filled.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to go on it yet. But see, I'm one of those that joined DayZ after the map had already changed.
Yep.
So like I think I played it a little bit when I used to play it on Hellfire Show's PC way back in the day.
Yep.
Back at like 0.62 and
So for
even
you, it
earlier
would be
than that.
almost like getting lost again, mate. You'd be looking at places
Pretty
going, "What is
much.
this?"
Yeah,
Where am
I've
I?
I've got very, very vague, and I mean very vague because my memory's shit anyway. I'll completely forget this conversation in half hour. So my memory's terrible anyway, but I've got very vague memories of the old Northwest Airfield. So it would be nice to be able to go back and see if my memories live up to what I think they are, or whether I'm misremembering, certain areas.
But no, it was
Like,
quite
that
nice
little
to see.
nostalgia. That
Quite
little
nice
bit of
to see.
nostalgia. That should be really good. I'm definitely going to have a look into that.
So the server is called Arrowhead Island. In the description of it, it says Namolsk plus Island and whatever. I don't know what the hell they're doing with that. Maybe they're just experimenting with it and whatever. But yeah, it is up. I think it's based somewhere in the US. I had a ping of just under 200 to it, so it wasn't too bad for me. But yeah, definitely if you're looking for some old school flashbacks, definitely worth checking out. If you give me a second, I will. Bada boom, bada bing. Library, DayZ.
It's definitely something I'm going to have to check out. I haven't seen old Chernarus like that in quite a long time. Like I say, I didn't really know it that well back in the day either. So it's like you say, I might actually get lost again on Chernarus for the first time in
Arrowhead Mountain,
10
sorry.
years.
Arrowhead Mountain.
Arrowhead Mountain. Nice. I shall definitely be having to check that out over the weekend then.
And it even has a mod on it that has you having to download the old Armor 2 trees. So the trees that you could actually hide in and not stick out like a sore thumb when you think you're completely invisible in them.
That's some overpowered trees right there.
Now, Lieutenant
you think
Masters.
Summit was upset before with
Oh,
the trees.
oh yeah.
He'll be really upset with them trees when suddenly he runs through a forest and 50 people come out the trees.
Lieutenant Master shared a post with me from Reddit, Gaming Leaks and Rumors. So images above shared on the Twitter page of known Bohemia Interactive employee and leaker BioSteel. The images show that Bohemia Interactive are working on a new Armour game and some minor clues as to what the game could be about. A few hours after the post being created, it was taken down by the user. Just put all the images together with the new ones I have. So what have we got? Armour Reforger.
I mean, we've speculated, haven't we, that the Armour 4 could be a thing that's coming out at some point soon. I think a lot of us are kind of expecting Armour 4 for 2021. But at the same time, you know, it's a leak. You know, it's one of those where it's a bit of a, you take it with a grain of salt. I think we covered this BioSteel person on the podcast a couple of months back as well, when there was, you know, supposed leaks of some screenshots from what was supposed to be DayZ 2, which was very quickly realized wasn't true at all, and it was basically just screenshots from Vigor. So, you know, I don't really put much stock in this BioSteel, or however you're supposed to pronounce their name, and in giving us real actual info.
What's his name? Lieutenant Masters told me he used to actually be a contractor for Bohemia Interactive.
Yeah, but that could mean anything. Do you know what I mean? Just because he once worked for a little bit with someone from Bohemia doesn't mean he's got insider knowledge necessarily. You know, I work side by side with you on a weekly basis doing this podcast, and there are a million things that I don't know about you and about your, you know, about things regarding you and your home life and things, frankly, things that are none of my business as well. But at the end, you know, just because you work somewhere or you know someone doesn't mean you know you've got that insider knowledge, you know. So at the end of the day, it's possible leaks. It's you know, take with a grain of salt. But I would love to see Armour 4. I would love to see it. I mean, I've never played the Armour games, but for the community, I would love to see Armour 4 come out this year, because I think with the hype of DayZ, you know, I think it will get a lot of hype, and I think it will, you know, let's be honest, 2020 was a pretty shit year. 2021's probably not going to be a huge amount better, although we've now got, you know, what they called the jabs you get in your arm, you know, to stop this Rona shit, you know. So it's kind of take it with a pinch of salt, but I'm quietly hopeful for Armour 4 this year to give us something to look forward to. Thank you, Zombie Lee, and your in Boydie's chat. Vaccines, that's the word I couldn't think of. You know, so I look forward. I hope that we are going to get an Armour 4 sooner than later, because I think we've discussed on the podcast before that whatever happens with Armour 4 when that eventually comes out, we could see some of the stuff, some of the lessons that they learned from the Armour series leak over to DayZ. You know, and at the end of the day, like I said, I've never played an Armour game in my life. My focus, as far as Bohemia's concerned, is with DayZ. So anything that could, you know, possibly better DayZ in the long run, I'm down for straight away.
Now, we talked about the OTV Rust server. Call Me Rive. This was a brilliant idea. Now, I don't think anyone else has done this, but this is one of my favourite streamers who, you know, I haven't had the email come through showing who I've watched the most, but Call Me Rive would definitely have to be up there for me. I love watching this guy play DayZ.
See, this I didn't see. This is one that I'm watching for the first time along with the viewers.
So it's pretty big already. I think we can try to do it. I
can already tell what horrific shit's going to happen.
What do you think? Should we go for it now?
Pretty much exactly what was expected.
Yeah. He died. But I
Well,
don't think
that's
anyone
also
else has
fair.
thought to do that. At least that I know of. Someone's probably done it, who didn't stream or something like that. But guys, please give this guy a follow. He's Russian, and he is an absolute legend of the DayZ community. He should be a lot bigger than he is. That's his Twitter account. Here's his Twitch. He's absolutely brilliant guy. He's a mix of a hardcore DayZ player, PvP god. He's just so chill. Yeah, things like this in DayZ, you never know what you'll see next. That's probably why I can't stop playing it. And there's a car fucking strung from a power line. He's just, and he's a lovely bloke to boot. Zombie, he is a lovely bloke. Very genuinely nice guy. Definitely worth a watch. Anyone will enjoy watching him.
That's just given me an idea watching that video now, because I help run on a Mausk server, so I have access to God mode and to spawn vehicles in and things. So I think I might have to have a little look at what that looks like when I'm in God mode, because I won't be able to die.
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to see whether or not it just kills the car, and whether it actually teleports. Because it'd be because I've done it whilst it was happening with God mode on foot, but never thought to do it with a vehicle.
Mhm.
So I'll have to stick the old God mode on and give that the old college try over the next couple of days and see what foolishness occurs. I'll still somehow probably manage to die, knowing my luck, even with God mode on, but we'll see.
Now, we've got our Patreon topic of the week. Yes, folks, our Patreons get to, if they want to, suggest a topic for us to discuss. And Scale Speeder, who's in chat, come up with a two-part question from me this week, if that's okay. I've just finished my first explorations of the moles and have super enjoyed the survival and exploration experience. But I've even more enjoyed the visual and environmental storytelling. So what do the panel think of the moles? And without spoiling anything, should the DayZ origin story offered in the moles become canon? So we've all pretty much said that we love Namolsk. Yes, the map is a small one, so that does limit the lifespan of the map. But, yes, Chernarus is a big map, but with most of us having, thousands of hours in Chernarus by now, we still go back to it. I think Namolsk, with what that Sumrak and Inclement Dab and the team have managed to add, has a long life. You only need to look at the popularity of the videos that I released and Septic Falcon released and everyone else who did the Namol sneak peek videos. It's an amazing map. Zombie Lee saying in chat, I've mostly just play PvE Namols, not as much of a fan of the PvP of it for now. I'm a bit of both. I actually like it because there's a lot of choke points. Be it the crossings from the North Island to the South Island and then to the East Island. The East Island. And then A1, A2, all these different locations where you are more inclined to bump into someone. The refugee camp, and I think it's a brilliantly done map. What do you think, Brim?
Couldn't agree more. I think the Namausk is absolutely phenomenal, and like I said earlier, Sumrak bought it out. He released it in December. Before Christmas, we had like 2 updates just to polish things off a bit. And now there's talks of him possibly releasing a content update. In fact, he put out a tweet saying he wanted to do a content update early in this year. So if we're going to get some sort of expansion to the map and use those vast ice flats that surround the map, they go out quite a good distance, so there's plenty of space for him to add new areas. And things like the Scat-12 submarine and the TF Bering outpost, if he can add a few more things like that in and stuff, it'll give that map a little bit extra. It'll give it that
I still haven't been out to them. Still haven't been out to either of them.
There's not much out at either of them.
Yeah.
However, the Scat-12 submarine does spawn one of those lore packets with the information you can read on it. I haven't gone through and found them or spawned them on my server and looked and read them, so I don't actually know what the lore for Namalsk is. I read through when Sumrak was originally hyping it and releasing those little stories and things and doing it with the way he did it with the community servers and things. I read those little bits, but I haven't actually read into the lore too much on Namalsk. So as for the second part of Scale Speeder's question, I don't know I have no real opinion because I'm not up to date on it to know whether it should become canon, within the DayZ lore.
I think it's a nice lore that's specific to the Namalsk map. And if people want to roll that over to others, so be it. Personally, I'd love to see them do something official for DayZ, like maybe even like a relaunch with some nice promo videos talking about how the apocalypse began, maybe with a new map release or something like that, and cover it a bit more. We got a touch on it when we had Matt Lightfoot on, what the original canon for DayZ was, from Dean Hall and co. But I do love the Namalsk lore as well. I like it just as, me personally, I like it just as Namalsk lore.
Yeah, I think didn't Sumrak in those original stories when he was hyping up the eventual release of Namalsk, I'm sure like the first story mentioned Chernarus as a place as well, because if I remember rightly, in that first story, wasn't it like the character ended up in a shipping container or something, and next thing you know, they woke up and they were in Namalsk. I think if I remember rightly, I'll have to go back and read the stories over again, but I'm pretty sure it was something to the effect of they left Chernarus on a boat and hid in a shipping container and ended up in Namalsk. So if I remember rightly, he kind of did merge them a little bit and have that little bit of crossover between the two, but not massively in depth. So I think if you were going to cross it over, it would definitely need to be a more in depth, complete story.
Yeah. Back to weekly show agenda. Now, the DayZ Twitter to watch. They released the Bohemia Interactive highlights of 2020. So we had Arma 3, 2 updates, 1,127,000 base games sold, 2,200,000 DLC, and 2,358,000 active players. Vigor with 4,600,000 active players, 11 updates and 5 seasons. Wylands with 645,000 active players and 4 updates. But the king of them all was DayZ. 6,400,000 active players, 1.2 million copies sold. 750,000 DLC sold. Arma would obviously trump DayZ there with the sheer scale of official DLC they have, and DayZ only has the Livonia map, so that's still a pretty solid effort for one map being sold nearly 800,000 times. Good to see a nice year from them. And once again, they do have the advertisement there for Bohemia.net careers. If any of you out there are looking, they are recruiting at the moment. So, yeah.
And I think the great thing with this infographic as well is that they've included console in the DayZ graph, because we often mention every week on the podcast, we mention that how well DayZ is doing on Steam, but it's difficult to get active, proper, decent info on the console numbers. And we're constantly saying, look, we've hit an all-time high player count on PC, but we don't know what it is on console. Whereas this shows it. I mean, you look at that's across PC and console, nearly 1.3 million base games sold of DayZ.
Yeah.
So you think that's just in 2020 alone. So that's not all time. That's in 1 year and very recent. 750,000, of Livonia being sold.
When you look at it, though,
6.5 million active players.
Arma on PC did outsell DayZ on PC. So
Arma had less, didn't it? By the looks,
but that's only on PC. DayZ has 1.2 million sold across all consoles. or all
Yeah, I
platforms.
see what
So,
you mean. Yeah,
but it does show that DayZ still is a very valuable game for Bohemia as a company. So
oh yeah,
it kind of
big
explains
time.
why they're recruiting a few more people again. Just makes you wonder why they keep on going up and down with the numbers in the team. But
Yeah,
as long as they're still
they say
supporting
there.
it.
Yeah, I mean, they say there on the right hand side, don't they? Company 103 new employees.
Mhm.
You know, six offices. So, you know, they're definitely growing. They're definitely still going. You know, it's far from dead. The game itself, the other games, the companies behind it are far from gone. You know, it's still showing that it's still growing. I mean, yeah, look at that. Bohemia's bestseller in 2020, DayZ.
Yep.
Who'd have thought? You know, you look at this, say, go back 5 years. If you had told me 5 years ago that in 2020 DayZ was going to be the biggest seller and was going to sell on console and PC and sell nearly 1.3 million base game units,
Mm.
I'd have told you you're off your head, stop taking drugs or share them. Do you know what I mean? And let me enjoy the fucking high with you, because that would have been mental to think
Yeah.
about. But it's real. We've hit that. Do you know what I mean? And it's only going to get bigger from here. When you look at the current state of the world with this virus, so many more people are doing work from home. There's so many more people at home gaming. Because I mean, I don't know what it was like for everyone else, but at the very start of 2020, when the virus properly kicked off, I got furloughed from work and I was still getting paid. So I was getting paid to sit at home and play DayZ all day, basically, which is my fucking dream anyway. I just didn't see the numbers on Twitch that I would have liked, but still, you know, so many people are in that same boat. And even with these vaccines and things, I don't see 2021 being massively different to 2020. So I think we're gonna see growth. I think we mark this moment and come back in 12 months' time. And I would imagine we're going to see very similar numbers, if not bigger numbers, as a result.
I'll put a link to this in chat for those that want to see it. But mate, we are almost done for now. Highlights of the week. Now LP's not here, but what was your highlight for the week, mate?
Lax. It's got to be Lax again. The guy's just doing awesome YouTube stuff. Got a new video came out. Let's have a look. Yeah, it is today, called The Dangers of Hitchhiking. Let's be honest, it's a dangerous thing anyway, but in DayZ, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. So
I started
trying to see
watching
if it'll
that.
let me
I've still got to finish
share
watching
it.
that, but that came out during the middle of the night. But yeah, it's good to see him growing and really embracing it. And yeah.
And the thing is, as well, is like a lot of people, not just us, but a lot of people said to Lax for a long time, you know, you've got a YouTube account there, you should use it. You know, and we all said that to him because we knew what he could do with the type of content he does on stream, the type of person he is, not only as a content creator but as a man. We know that Lax can pull off some phenomenal stuff. He does every time he hits that go live button. It's a whole new, different, awesome adventure. And this just adds to it. You know, we've said for ages he should do YouTube, and now look, he's doing YouTube and he's creating some of the best DayZ content out there. You know, and when I say that, no one has a surprised look on their face, I guarantee, because we all knew what Lax could do. He just needed that, you know, he just needed that outlet to do something different. And I think that, along with all the, you know, all the positive stuff that's happened with his streaming and stuff, has really helped. You know, and it's great to see a genuine, nice, decent person such as him get some success as a result of it as well.
Mine is not so much a highlight as more of a what the fuck moment. I was in the DayZ standalone community. I'll just share the screen for you so you can see it as well. And someone put a post up, is anyone working on a DayZ Royale mod, Battle Royale mod, or is that a type of mode difficult to program? I think it would be done with just an ever-increasing toxic zone, a mini-map, and boosted guns and ammo loot spawning. Any thoughts? And oh my fucking God, the comments. It was shit.
Arseholes.
Yeah. just go play Fortnite. DayZ is a survival game, and every day we get further from that direction. I get it. That's what you want, so just play Fortnite. You know that's literally PUBG, right? Just play Battle Royale. And then finally, you know, we had someone talking about it. But it constantly astounds me. And I ended up, I couldn't help myself. Jesus, some of you are fucking munted. You all know Survivor Games, which was done on DayZ, started the craze. And yes, there is a BR mod for DayZ. Here is the Discord. I tagged the wrong person. He was actually a moderator just watching it because it was descending into chaos, the thing. But it just astounded me that so many people, one, I am one of the worst fucking elitists. I'm all for the hardcore fucking DayZ mode, but I still embrace and appreciate and understand that the beauty of DayZ is you can play it however the fuck you want. Some people just need to calm the fuck down and stop thinking that they own the fucking game and the rights to how it's being played. Let people play the game how they want. The guy asked an innocent question and fucking people came at him like he'd fucking suggested, I'm not even going to say so. The things that bring to mind will probably get me banned from fucking Twitch for saying it. But he asked an innocent question.
It's shit like that, and people like the people that are commenting there, that are commenting those stupid comments like, oh, just go and play PUBG or whatever bollocks they're commenting, is the exact reason why I worked in a call center for a year and not a fucking day more.
Yeah,
because people have that anonymity. And even in my job, I worked for a mobile phone company. I had people's bank details, people's home details, their address, telephone number, their entire livelihoods on a screen in front of me. And the amount of people that I would speak to on a daily basis that would still speak to me like I'm something they've just stood in is a reason why I left that job promptly.
Yep.
Like these people, and people don't understand that there are, you say something on the internet, you don't have anonymity. People assume anonymity on the internet. There is no anonymity on the internet. Once you post something, you can be found. Your information can be found. There are people out there that know how to do that.
Especially on something like Facebook.
And especially on, and yeah, Facebook is not exactly one that's known for keeping your fucking data secret, is it? Let's be honest. So the fact that people are quite happy, like I guarantee I could go into that group, start clicking on profiles and find out where people's kids go to school. Like that's a dangerous fucking thing that I could find out. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything with that information if I was to find it. But there are people out there that don't have those same morals that I do. I won't look for what fucking school your children go to. But there are people on the internet who will see a simple comment on a Facebook page such as that and take it to that extreme, and all your information, your entire life is online. Why people feel it's a clever idea to post things and get involved. I understand on something like Reddit or on Twitter where you can limit what's on your profile, but who limits what they put on Facebook? I guarantee, even I'm quite careful with it, but I guarantee if I gave you my Facebook for 5 minutes, you know, anyone could find out all sorts of information about me and find out where I'm going to be tomorrow at 3:00. It wouldn't be difficult to figure it out. Do you know what I mean? It boggles my mind that there are still people that will be that sort of keyboard warrior or that on the other end of a phone warrior and have a pop at someone for no apparent reason and just assume that nothing will come from that and that's the end of the story. It's not. People need to understand that there are real people on the other end of those comment sections, on the other end of those Facebook posts. And just because you think you've got away with it doesn't mean you have. And you should always be very mindful of the fact that not only could you hurt someone else's feelings, but you hurt the wrong person's feelings, and they're going to do a lot more than hurt just your feelings. People need to be very mindful of what they say and what they do on the internet, because your information's out there for the picking. And if the wrong person goes looking for it and knows where to look, you are in a shit ton of trouble.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But it was fun to go in there and point out to people that there was a little bit more to the post, and that some people need to bone up on the history of the game. and become aware that all of those games actually exist because of firstly Armour, then DayZ, or Armour 2, then DayZ, and then Survivor games. And you just wish that people would take the time to educate themselves a bit better before mouthing off.
Yeah.
But hey, I've been guilty of doing that in the past myself as well. So,
So have I. I mean, I've taken to the point now. I mean, you know very well, as I'm sure everyone watching knows very well, that the very moment within a matter of seconds of the official DayZ Twitter account posting anything, and it could be related to absolutely fucking anything. It's like, your game's broken. This is not working. I don't like this. Rah, 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 and they immediately jump to it. And I've got to the point now where all I do now is I copy and paste the link to the TikTok, the Discord, the podcast TikTok, and I say, check out the video we recently had, where and I'll put forward either the one from the Christmas show where Scotty was talking about the plans for 2021, or the history. I recently uploaded an 8-part one for when we had Soma on, and the history of the Survivor games. It's been quite well received over there, and I'll just post those and say, look, there is information out there. Just look for it. There's no point you getting angry and shouting and screaming on a Twitter, because the same person that is reading that Twitter account and posting from that Twitter account is not the same person that's in charge of fixing whatever feature it is that you don't like about the game. It's a different person. There's a reason the feedback tracker exists. Use the fucking feedback tracker. Common sense. You don't like something, don't just shout into the void and hope that someone's going to fucking hear you, pick up a shovel and fix it for you. That's not how it works. Tell the right person through the feedback tracker and it can get fixed. Otherwise, you're just shouting at nothing and hoping for the best.
You should share those on the Twitter account as well, mate. Might get you some more new people over on the TikTok account as well. But yeah, I think the people who follow the Twitter account would appreciate those as well, the little snippets of the actual podcast, because pretty much all I do, and I'm way behind at the moment, is upload the full episodes. The little snippets would probably be appreciated very well by people.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty is sometimes as well, especially with the Soma stuff as well, is that there's often we're quite blessed with the guests that we get on our show, in that they're so articulate people. We don't get idiots that just talk drivel all day like us. We actually have intelligent people that actually give plenty of information. So I sat there and trying to get the list of stuff for what I wanted for the TikTok for Soma's episode. It had to be an 8-part series. It's nearly 7 minutes long when you put it all together, because there was so much information. Trying to clip down so much information and condense it down into a short form content it's a fucking nightmare, and it took me about 3 days. And then I fucked up the edit and had to go back and redo a couple of bits as well. So, because I forgot to put the text in there that I meant to put in there. So luckily that's the easiest bit.
Well, that's a nice segue to the last part of the show, which is talking about who next week's guest is. And next week's guest is probably going to be someone that most of you have never heard of, MDCon Twitch. Now, I'm putting a link to a post in Twitter that him and I had a discussion. It was based on when I did the tweet that I shouldn't have done from the official account, having to go with General Sam for his DayZ is Dead video. But an interesting conversation come out of it. I put a comment there, speak to most modders and they would tell you that they couldn't have done what they did without the dev team getting DayZ to where it is. And MDCon came back, whilst I don't condone the slur the chap above used, you're way off base with own comment. The majority of modders will tell you that the behaviour of the official devs, even to this day, is absolutely fucking mental. Changing function signatures randomly without warning, refactoring code on a whim, changing the network stack in a way that anyone with even half a brain can tell will cripple performance. 1.10's vehicle health sync, for example. Missing engine natives and things being pushed to stable without even basic testing. DayZ is where it is today for 2 simple reasons. They handed management of the team over to someone competent, Adam, who has been able to motivate them to fix basic issues. And 2, by the work done by modders, in spite of, not because of, Bohemia's effort to further break the game. So you and I, Brim, are going to be like fish out of fucking water next week. But I really wanted to get this guy on and get him on soon. So I did some shuffling of guests and all the rest of it to get him in ASAP. Because that's the first person who has said anything like that to me. You know, previously, and I've said it many times on this show, you speak to modders and they'll say the game wouldn't be where it is. And I said that, you know, regurgitated the same line I've used and was shot down. And when I invited other people in, the majority of them agreed with what he said. So something's changed. And I want to find out more about it because, you know, a little bit of vanity here, but the devs have said they watch and listen to this. So maybe we can raise some stuff in a public forum that might help improve the game down the line. That's my wish, and I'm very, very excited to get him on to hear a perspective that isn't just, you know, well, I love the devs. The devs are awesome. A perspective that seems to be a bit more grounded in potentially reality.
Yeah, it's that constructive criticism versus being a dick, and that is the difference here. This MDCon person, I've seen their name pop up a fair bit over the last couple of years, you know, in the DayZ community, and always in positive lights, which is nice.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's gonna have. Oh, I'm assuming it's a he. I should probably say they nowadays before I get fucking shot for misgendering people. But whatever you are, carry on, enjoy yourself. No worries from me here. But yeah, whoever they are, if you know, at the end of the day, they're giving that constructive criticism. They've obviously got some knowledge on it, and they're using that knowledge in an appropriate way. Whereas General Sam, now I've never watched one of his videos. I don't know a lot about the guy. I know there's a lot of people that love him, and I know there's a lot of people that hate him. Either way, I'm not fussed. I don't give a shit. He ain't hurt me, so I've got nothing bad to say about him, apart from the fact that for some fucking unknown reason, he decides to use a slur and say that the devs have got Down syndrome or something. The fuck is the point in that? What?
He's a negative streamer, mate. His whole thing is negativity and insults, and that's, you know, it appeals to people, but that's his thing. You watch any of his stuff, mate, and it's filled to the brim with insults like that. That's his shtick.
It's just like, it doesn't offend me. I think people throw around that being offended a bit too easily, but it annoys me. It doesn't offend me because it doesn't affect me personally, which is a stupid and shitty way of looking at things, really, when you think about it. But that's the fact. But it annoys me that rather than actually, I mean, the guy, I've known the name General Sam for years, long before I knew a lot of other big names in the industry and in you know, in the DayZ category. So the fact that he's got this far and can't even be asked to spend that extra 3 seconds to think of another word to use or think of a better way of wording things, and just immediately goes to, fuck it, I'm going to use something derogatory and something shitty. It boggles my mind. It would have taken him absolutely no time at all to just go, well, here's my opinion in a constructive way. Like thousands of people on a daily basis manage to do that, even within the DayZ community, even when
that's not his shtick, mate. That's not how he rolls.
It clearly, yeah. Well, yeah. I know there's fucking one person I shan't be fighting to get on the podcast anytime soon, shall we say?
But mate, that was a damn good episode. It was a pity that LP couldn't hang around, but he's a man with a lot to do every day. Leads a pretty fucking awesome life, and I'm a big fan of his. And maybe one day down the line we can look at maybe getting your trio on, KD, Potato, and have all the beards on. Get a beard special. Make Ben grow one, or just put on a paper one.
My table would tilt. My table would tilt like that due to the erection that I would suddenly receive as a result of having all three of them in one place at the same time regarding DayZ. I would be the happiest man ever. That will be the day that I know I no longer need to live. I can just die quite peacefully knowing I'm happy and at peace.
But no, mate, thank you so much yet again. Another great week, a much shorter episode this week. Should give me some time to catch up. I think I've got now 3 episodes I've got to catch up on. And I will try and get those uploaded all throughout this week for everyone out there to catch up on who doesn't get to watch them live. Just a reminder, please check out the Streamline servers. They're now doing a sponsorship deal with us. I'm not sure if I've set up a command. Have I? Nope. Need to fix that because I'm just such a fucking professional streamer.
Fucking sacked.
Our Patreon as well. If you do want to help support the show, it's a great way to do it. But yeah, all the best, everyone. I'll see you next week, Brim.
You shall
Just a
indeed.
quick update for everyone. Ben is still around. He's just been pretty flat out with a lot of personal stuff going on at the moment. He sends his apologies. He said you're more than welcome to send him dick pics on Twitter to try to pick up his ego and bag him out for not being on the show for the last few weeks. But yeah, all the best, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Indeed. Have a good one, everyone. See you soon.